All right, good morning, everybody, or afternoon, or evening, wherever you are at in your day around the world. Thanks for tuning in. It's time again for coverage of the Virtual World Cup, and we are at the semifinal stage. Only 4 teams left out of the original 16. Very exciting. We're going to determine one of our 2 finalists today. My name is Will Anderson. Again, thanks for joining me. If you're watching, hi, everybody. I see lots of folks in the chat already, which is great to see. So today's matchup, obviously, if you were watching the countdown screen, you know it's going to be between Team Canada and Team India today. 2 of the 4 teams remaining in this tournament, and they have played very impressively to get to this point. It should be a great, great match today. So if we go to our broadcast screen, it's getting, excuse me, just for the schedule first. What was once a huge slate of games each week is now down to just 2 matchups. Canada and India, as we said, that's what we're going to be watching today on this broadcast. And then tomorrow at the same time, different place, twitch.tv, Coco Scrabble. You're going to be seeing Pakistan versus the United States to determine the other finalist and who will take on the winner of today's matchup here. I am on Team United States, so obviously doing double duty here as a broadcaster and a player. This tournament has been a total blast for me. I'm pretty much getting to do it all here, and it's been really amazing to be a part of this event. So without further ado, let's just see, for those that are just tuning in, not sure how we've gotten to this point, the format of this event was very similar to the World Cup in soccer or football, depending on where you're from. So what we did to start things off, the first 3 weeks, we selected teams at random. We actually did a show about it, the selection show, where Evans picked these teams out of his cookware. Evans Clinchy, obviously, and Jen Clinchy, the directors and organizers of this event. They've done an incredible job with it. So Evans picking these teams out of his pots and pans in his kitchen, and we developed 4 groups here of roughly equivalent skill. And each member of each group played all the other members of each group. So, for example, India, which you see was the winner of Group A, they played Malaysia, Thailand, and the UK, and Canada played Singapore, Kenya, and Ghana in Group C. Canada won all 3 of their matches. India winning 2, including a pivotal matchup in week 3, which if we go back to the broadcast screen, you can see here are how our 2 teams today fared in pool play. You see India defeating Malaysia, losing a nail-biter to the United Kingdom, but coming up huge in week 3 with a win over Thailand. And Canada with 2 squeakers against Ghana and Singapore and a very emphatic victory over Kenya. Oh, did I misspeak? Yeah, week 2. But anyway, there you see with India in the green, Canada in the red, how the 2 teams fared in pool play. And now you can see the individual wins that each team compiled. So in a couple of the different groups, those individual wins that each team compiled in group play was a tiebreaker. So for example, you can see Singapore with a 1-2 record in Group C, as well as Kenya and Ghana, but they had many, many more individual wins, so Singapore was able to advance out of pool play. But obviously India and Canada winning their groups in Groups A and C, and that punched their ticket into the bracket phase, where we are now. So 16 teams began. After pool play, there were only 8. And after last weekend, we have only 4 teams remaining. You see highlighted India and Canada on your left. That's going to be today's matchup. Tomorrow, Pakistan versus the USA. The winners of those 2 matches will be the finalists. Very, very exciting. So we've had about a month of play so far to get to this point. And here we are at today's matchup between Canada and India. So here you see the rosters. Canada is going to be throwing out their top group. Evan Borofsky, Jeremy Hildebrand, Jesse Matthews, Dean Saldana, and Tony Leah. Honorable mention, obviously, to their super sub, Matthew Tunnicliffe, but he is unavailable today. Also, he is their sub, so this is their top group. And this group has served them very well with 2 wins so far. India, also with their top group today, Akshay Bandarkar, Sherwin Rodriguez, Udayan Grover, Nakul Prabhu, and Aditya Iyengar. So these 2 teams coming at full strength today. Thanks to To Weibin's amazing tournament statistics kit, we can really hone in on how these teams have done. Canada and India each have played 100 games so far. So you can see the records adding up to 100. Canada 57 and 43, India just behind. Actually, India averaging a few more points than Canada, but India also yielding more points to their opponents. But you can see India with 236 bonuses so far to Canada's 210. So if India continues to get down as many bonuses as that is going to bode well for them today. Both teams with 98 blanks so far out of the 100 games they've played, so nothing odd there, right about what you would expect. Good emote spamming, everybody. Yes, there are a couple new emotes here on the channel. So, but let's cut to some of the individual statistics. So you can see for Canada, Evan Borowski leading the way, 12 and 8 with a solid spread, averaging 440 points per game to 416 for his opponents. So definitely Canada's top seed, performing roughly as you would expect. Evan actually had a tough week last week, even though Canada did defeat their opponent to advance. But I have great respect for Evan's ability. Great player to start your team off as a number 1 seed. And then obviously for Canada, going down the list, Jesse Matthews having a good tournament so far at 11 and 9, as is Jeremy Hildebrand with a really high total for bonuses, 50, which is high on the team. And tied for 3rd among all players that have reached this point in the tournament. And yeah, Matthew Tunnicliffe, a super sub so far, has been huge for Canada when he's been there. I just wanted to throw in an honorable mention to him, even though he's... Oh, I can turn the volume down. I do see it's a little high. Maybe it will be better when I lower it. Yeah, now it should be a little bit better. But yeah, Matthew has been really capable as a sub, but he is not playing today in today's event. We'll see how that affects the matchup. Obviously for India, Aditya Iyengar leading the way with an awesome 15 and 5 record. He's got team highs across all of the statistics, and all of that coming as the number 5 seed on his team, the lowest rated player in WESPA on the team. So that's very, very impressive to get such a strong performance out of a low seed on the team. As I said, India with a great total for bonuses, 236. That's the most of all teams that have made it this far. And honorable mention also to Nakul Prabhu, the number 4 seed with a strong winning record so far. And India actually a bit of a wild card here because their 2 top players by rating, Akshay and Sherwin, have not had great tournaments to this point, a 15 and 20 combined record. So if those 2 players get untracked today, that could be huge for India if they continue to get strong contributions out of their lower seeds and get the number 1 and 2 seeds that we know Akshay and Sherwin are awesome players. I think they're a bit overdue actually to start racking up some more wins. So we will see what happens. Here we have the matchups today. Let me get the poll up for round 1 because we are very close to getting underway, and let's see what matchup you guys want to see. Feel free to vote in the chat. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Whichever matchup you want is the one we will focus on in round 1. Lots of great ones. First vote coming for Evan versus Aditya. That's a pretty good one. There's no shortage of strong matchups here to choose from. So we are just about a minute away from the kickoff point for round 1 here. And once you guys get in your votes, we will be off to the races with coverage of this first of 2 semifinal matchups in the Virtual World Cup this weekend. So for those that saw this last week, this won't be a surprise, but we have a cool little graphic here to lead into our game screen. Hopefully everybody's still enjoying that as much as I am. And we'll continue to let the poll percolate a little bit. It looks like Evan versus Aditya right now is the runaway favorite choice. So when that matchup gets going, that's where we'll hone in. So we are very, very close. I've got all the players targeted here on my watch list on ISC. So yeah, it's certainly looking like Evan versus Aditya is the way we're going to go here. So we'll close the poll. It seems like an insurmountable lead, and reveal me behind it. I'm still here, folks. So yeah, hopefully the audio, is there still any issue with it? I do see that it's like, I don't know, I have to lower my mic a little more for it not to be in the red zone. Hopefully I'm still audible, but we'll get there before the broadcast starts in earnest, I hope. So yeah, let's see if we center me up as well. There. Okay, some of the matches are beginning. I'm seeing that right now, and just waiting for, so I saw in the chat earlier, do I have any predictions for today? I think the only thing I would like to predict is that it's going to be 13-12. I think that it's going to be a 13-12 match either way. Canada's already played several matches that have gone to 13-12. And if we cut back to the bracket stage, you can see they had another one against Ireland last week. So Canada defeated Singapore 13-12, Ghana 13-12, Ireland 13-12. The only thing I will be predicting is a 13-12 outcome. I don't know who's going to come out on top. And here's this again. As the game between Evan and Aditya is now underway. All right, Evan going first, Aditya second. And it looks like just a very quick exchange by Evan there with such a vowel-heavy rack. That makes total sense. So I'll try to play along with this game as well. And if we get stuck on any positions, not sure what to do, we can potentially consult Quackle as well. Just getting that set up really quickly. And Evan exchanged, and Aditya would probably be happy if an R hit the board here for race goer, or not sure what else there might be, but instead he's got one of these in between racks where there's not going to be a satisfying play. I mean, something like ego fishing to your decent leave or age or something. It's not very satisfying, but it's probably what's called for here when your rack is, yeah, Ocrie is another way to go. Question, why exchange 6? I think I would, if Evan had ER there, sometimes ISC misreports exchanging. So I certainly have noticed in the completed games that I look at on ISC that my exchanges are often misreported in terms of like the number of tiles I exchanged. It thinks, it tells me that I exchanged a different number than I know I actually did. So it's possible that we'll see on Evan's next rack, maybe he did. Oh, maybe he didn't have an E and an R. Yeah, yeah, that's right. I think his rack was, yeah, thanks to Lord Livgin. I think that's more what he had. I'm not sure he had an E and an R. So we do see ego go down. That's, as I said, that's an unsatisfying play, but it's probably the best play just because Ocrie leaving just a G was not going to get bingos down anywhere near as much as ego leaving ACER. So I think I like that play for Aditya there. And it's back to Evan, who's exchanged a ton of vowels on his opening move, and he's drawn a ton of consonants in response. So he's gone from one extreme to the other. So yeah, maybe if he wants to, it's going to be very difficult for Evan to use his J for a great score here. There is a spot, I guess. Okay, yeah, Fanjet. That looks like a great option for Evan just because he leaves an S behind, and that creates another really, really nice spot for his S. And now there are two on the board that are difficult to block. although there were already two with Sego as well. But the Fanjet's hook is even better. It's just going to score a lot with those extra points for Fanjet. But Aditya has a bingo and spots it, as we saw on the statistics screen brought to us by the Tournament Statistics Kit, which I will continue to plug. I need to get a link for that that's available, but Aditya, clearly very strong with his word knowledge, has a bingo on his rack and finds it. No surprise. He's done that roughly 50 times, or yeah, well, I don't know, something like that so far in maybe those, I forgot how many weeks those numbers were through. I think it might have just been through pool play, but either way, lots and lots and lots of bingos for Aditya so far. That is a strength of his. And back to Evan, and I think he left SD on his rack previously, and he drew UUIOR. I think, there are some racks where, there are some bingos that look kind of like this, but I don't think he has anything available here. Evan, obviously a very, very strong bingo knower and finder in his own right. In particular, extremely talented at finding bingos with blanks if he's drawing them. I would not put any find out of Evan's reach when he has a blank. As he plays judo, judo just being suggested. I think that's a good idea. He had two U's. He's definitely looking to use one on that turn at a minimum. I don't think there was a great way for him to use both of his U's while also scoring something as respectable as 20 points as judo. And again, judo blocks the Rego's hook, but continues to give him a very good S hook, which he's going to hope to capitalize on at some time soon. So a very bingo looking rack for Aditya, but I don't believe anything actually plays through the letters on the board. He's going to have to do his due diligence and look through all of these tiles with his rack, and I don't think he's got anything. So instead, he's very likely to, Atropine would have played through this N right here, but it was just blocked by judo. That's, I don't think that was the reason that Evan played judo. It just happened to be an unseen positive benefit to him. There are words through the C that don't quite fit. If the C were one space over, then Aditya would be bingoing here, but it's not quite in the right spot. So I'm guessing we're going to see something with just a P in this spot. I'm not sure what it will be, whether he'll just play OP, OPA, OPA, something in that area. It looks like a great way to fish off your P and continue to gun for a bingo with very strong letters left behind. So we are just in the early phases of round one of this really, really exciting matchup to determine the first of our two finalists in the Virtual World Cup. There's no real reason to play OPA, I suppose. The E is likely to... Oh, well, there it is. So I guess when you play OPA instead of OP, you're basically trying to keep a little bit better balance on your leave. As opposed to 3 vowels and 2 consonants, you're just keeping an even 2 and 2. I don't think it has much, positional difference. I guess you open yourself up a little bit to triple triples ending in AS something, but maybe it's a little bit more defensive, just preventing. If you just play op, it's probably a lot easier to play sixes to the triple in that spot. Maybe OPA actually is a little bit better against scoring plays. I think it's probably like a coin flip in that situation. I'm thinking maybe it, I don't know. It's very close. I think the best thing you can do between op and OPA would just be pick one of them and play it quickly. So yes, back over to Evan, and he continues to have 2 U's. So he just used one up with judo, and he's drawn another. But he has to continue to fight through these racks that don't. I think he has yet to draw an E here, so he would love to see an E materialize on his rack. That would really help him turn the rest of these low point tiles into potential bingo. So yeah, he's thinking. I see Ulu being suggested. That would just be going right here, I think. That seems reasonable. The only issue is that as you continue to do your staircase here, eventually you're cheapening the value of your S. Now the S can't be in terminal position because you're going off the board. But that's okay. I think he can live with that. Especially because there's plenty of other spots on the board to use if he happens to draw something here. So Lituus and Judos, that's a very obscure word that's being suggested. That scores 25, but he said he does play Ulu instead, which I think is reasonable. I think keeping STIR as your leave is still going to hit a lot of bingos here, potentially bingos on this row right here. That's a pretty easy place to play, and maybe you hit the A of Relatch as well. So I think that's a reasonable idea. Aditya has drawn duplicates to his nice balanced leave of TIER. He drew another I and another T and a Y. Which is going to, so I said, maybe mistakenly, that playing OPA potentially has the benefit of making it more difficult to reach this triple word score with a 6-letter word, but he's got a pretty nice word available of Yttria if he spots it for 30. It leaves EI. It sort of blows up his bingo rack, but he may be fine with that. It scores probably much better than anything else he's likely to get here. Question of would you challenge Yttria in single? I wouldn't challenge anything that's valid in single because I'm just that good. I know the words that well. I'm nymphy like that. I'm just kidding. I probably would challenge a lot. I would definitely challenge many words just out of being 99.5% sure of them. And not wanting to get burned. Oh yeah, Tertia, I guess. That's certainly scores less. Keeps IY behind, but it is available as another play to that A. Yeah. Okay, Aditya has found it. And Evan, finally, as I said, he was hoping to get an E. He has, and he's going to play Twister or Retwist somewhere. Wardiest. Swatier. Oh, he's going to play Swatier. Yep, for sure. There it goes. Double for Evan. 94 points. Gets him right back in the game and erases that early deficit. So Evan fighting through an avalanche of U's in the early going. He's played 3 of them already on his first few racks. Picks up an E and doubles for 94 to get right back into the game. So nicely done to Evan. I think he's played pretty accurately in the first few turns. I mean, it's certainly Aditya has not made any missteps either. And quickly he plays Kuri from a rack that had a lot of vowels on it. And that seems like a pretty good play. He uses up 4 vowels and 1 consonant there. I think he leaves ES on his rack behind, which is, can't ask for too much more in that position, I don't think. Good morning to Seth Lipkin, whoever that is. Maybe that's a pseudonym for somebody I don't know. Just kidding, Seth. Good morning to you. Let me get my other screen ready. It's going to be Evan versus Aditya. And let's pop over to that because I like the way it looks better and it gives us Quackle. Oh, also Evan is the top player. There we go. Okay, so now we're on this screen as we see Evan get an X-bomb right off the bat after his bingo to the spot that he created with Swatier. Not that that was a problem. He has to play Swatier for 94, but immediately down comes the X. And Evan, who was down a bit in the early going after Aditya's bingo, opening bingo over a latch. Not an opening, but the first bingo of the game. And he now has a lead. So the fortunes have shifted a little bit in this game, but it's still very, very close. After Aditya's next move, whatever it is, I'm sure there are some good options for him here. The score is going to be roughly even, which we love to see. As many even games as we can. No blowouts either way. Let's get as many exciting close matches as we can get here. So yeah, let's see, what can he do? So the issue for Aditya is he has the E and the S that he left behind on his next turn, but he drew F, G, W, which is not a great combination. And he plays few, setting up a good spot for his S. Actually, a couple spots for his S. So he has a spot here, which, again, an S can't be in the final position in any word he gets there, but he could easily find himself scoring a ton of points if he draws high point tiles that don't bingo but just score well. And then he sets another lane up with ifs as well. So a nice play, but oh, wow. Okay, so the two plays just came really quickly. Fakir for Evan, getting rid of that Q that he picked up. And very quickly, as I said, Aditya doesn't have to bingo for that spot to be really useful. He's picked the Z and he plays gauzes for 61. So Evan, through no fault of his own, can't really do much about the new spot Aditya creates, and Aditya hammers it for a bingo-like score. Yeah, I think that was a pre-move, which is a feature now on ISC where you can basically tell ISC to immediately commit a certain move while it's your opponent's turn, and as soon as your opponent makes their move, if that is still available, if the move that you pre-moved is still available to play, it plays it instantly. So that appears to have been what happened there, which is a great way to save a little bit of time, actually. And time is, as always, of the essence in these 15-minute online games. Was doing an event yesterday of only 5 minutes per player, a speed event, and that's not even, I mean, 5 is more than the traditional 3 of Blitz, and I was finding it very, very difficult to commentate and stay on top of the game. It's just, things are happening too fast. So yeah, Aditya vaults back into the lead by just a bit, so this has been a nice back and forth game. Yeah, Squish, hello there, by the way. Nice to see you. Says he's gotten burned on the pre-move if opponent plays something to make it do a phony overlap. Yeah, I've never used pre-move. I'm a little scared of it for that reason. Pre-move in live games, that would be hilarious. So like a little crane that like comes down and just hovers over the board, and as soon as your opponent hits the clock, it releases the tiles onto the spot. That's what I'm imagining for in-person pre-move. Or maybe it just lets you you can just hold your tiles right over the board. Wow, apparently spaz is a word that it doesn't want me to let you say, but I'm going to let you say it. All right, so Bino is played by Evan. That seems like a reasonable play there. He had a B and a P together. I guess he could have potentially just played something like Cope to the C. That would have been all right. Either way, definitely want to use up one of the B or the P on that turn. Those two tiles don't play very well together. Aditya has drawn the first blank, but Evan has drawn the second. So again, very, very tight matchup so far. It seems like both players drawing roughly equally. Agrestal is played. I guess, let me just catch up and see if there was anything else available there. Probably not. It doesn't seem like the B was in the right place. Yeah, Agrestal, the highest scoring bingo there. We just cut to my Quackle. I can show you. I'm caught up here. So Aditya's play of Agrestal. Just for the record, also, when I cut to Quackle, the axes, I have it set to reverse the axes that you see on the edges of the board. A, B, C, D on the top, 1, 2, 3 on the left. Those reverse when I go to Quackle, and then when I close Quackle, it goes back to the ISC axes, which are a bit reversed from what we are accustomed to looking at Quackle. So hopefully that's not too confusing for people. When Quackle is up, the notation should look correct to you for where the words go. So Evan has the blank, but he's got BPV on it, and that is not really very good for bingoing, but he should be able to shed some of those letters here, at least the V, I think. I'm sure he's looking for a good way to use up both. I would say parv stands out to me as a pretty good way to do that, and also put a couple of letters out in space that might be useful to him. I think the E in particular would be really helpful. So after a play like parv, if he does make that play, perv is another good idea, actually. So perv in that same spot here, I'll put it on the board. You don't have to read my horrible telestrator handwriting. That at least sets up a nice spot to hook a word. But it also takes a bunch of hooks. EOY, it could yield a good scoring play to Aditya that also blocks. So it's potentially possible that, well, there's also only one more E to draw. And yeah, there's actually not very many vowels left. If you look at the bottom of the screen, there's one A, one E, 4 I's, and 2 O's. So perv does go down, and I'm starting to feel more positively about that play just because they're keeping vowels is really important with such a huge imbalance there. Yeah, I don't know. That was a tricky one. I'm very curious about that. Let's just look at a quick sim. I'm curious to see. Let me get some of these other plays that no one would ever play out, and just see what Quackle has to say. It's giving a pretty strong preference for parv, which, I don't know, that's tricky. I do see the merit of perv. There's definitely there are many situations in which perv is going to work out better. Just keeping that extra vowel. So a very, very blocky play in response. So anyway, Evan does play perv, I should say. And with a bunch, so we had just been talking from Evan's perspective about how many consonants were in the pool, and potentially keeping an A would be helpful. And you see that Aditya has a ton of those consonants on his rack, and opts to play Madid, blocking the hooks on perv and shedding a bunch of his consonants. That looks like a pretty good idea positionally. It forces Evan, so now Evan will have plays that he can make here, like Banyans or something like that. I'm not sure if there's anything better than that. There may well be, but those plays do yield very good counterplay back. So if we do see a bingo go down here, Evan has to be hoping that Aditya can't hit this spot for a very high score. So the score of the game, it looks like it's, in between. It's a 46-point lead. So a bingo is going to put Evan ahead by a small margin, enough that maybe he can withstand. If Aditya especially has just a really consonant-heavy rack, potentially, it doesn't look quite as imbalanced as it had before, because we've seen a bunch more consonants hit the board and only a couple vowels. So this is a tricky one. Indabas is played instead, so I think that looks like a really nice way to soften the blow of potential overlaps in that spot, because Evan still gets to triple the B in this lower spot, as opposed to putting it here, where it's going to contribute more to the score of plays going to the triple. And he's managed to put a blank and a consonant in that spot. And sure enough, Evan has gotten the best case scenario of really Aditya cannot span this area productively at all. He can't use this triple in a way that helps him very much. So Evan plays Indabas. That looks like a really, really nice play, just because of the order of the consonants and the vowels here. Make it really tough with a vowel shortage in the pool to get a good play that fits there. The one thing that Indabas does give up, that's a little bit scary, that potentially plays like Banyans do not give up, is a little bit easier of plays to this top triple, but even then, Aditya still doesn't have anything that reaches up there. So that was a tricky move. It looks like it's going to work out pretty well for Evan here. It's put Aditya in a tough situation. So, yeah. Oh, wait. Madid was played. So MDDI. So despite Aditya's best efforts to block that area of perv, Evan does still bingo. Oh, I see. Anti-bias. Yeah. Anti-bias. I see. I saw that being suggested. That would have played through the eye of Madid for 6 more points, but it would have put an A out in space, which obviously right now an A out in space like that would have really helped Aditya score a ton of points with something like Halid. I mean, that would have scored way, way more than he's going to get now. So Indaba's looks like a really solid positional play. So over to Aditya, what is he going to even do here? It's very difficult to see where he's going to score anything at all. I suppose he can play Hyla here, but completely ceding this triple area to Evan, if he has a good enough 6-letter word, that's going to be bad news. And there are a few in the pool that would hit pretty hard. I can see like Micron or something. So he plays Hizen. Ooh, that's interesting. That's probably the most he can get. Yeah, cashing his S and emptying the bag. So Aditya plays Hizen for 32, hooking Fakirs, taking a small lead, and probably just hoping that his endgame rack is flexible enough to outrun Evan in the endgame, but it looks like Evan's rack is easily flexible enough to go out in 2. And I think this game is trending pretty firmly in Evan's direction here, even though Evan is down currently by 6. I think it should be a relatively straightforward endgame where he's going to be able to score either a lot of points and then something small, or 2 solid scores while Aditya only gets 1, and that's going to put him up. So, yeah, Hyla being suggested. Yeah, there's just a lot of plays that look pretty good. I think potentially from Evan's perspective, maybe the scariest play, he almost doesn't have to worry about this area at all. He can just let that sit. It might be that Kiva is the scariest play with Aditya's rack, that Evan could just play here and block Kiva and then go out somewhere else. But I think it's pretty... at this point, Evan can go a lot of directions, and all he has to do is find a couple of plays that score well, which he should easily be able to do. So let's see. Somebody had a suggestion of Han. Where was that? Let me go back and see if I can... Oh, yes. Oh, that would have been very tricky. So suggestion of just HAN, which in this spot right here, let me draw it. I can't type it now. This would not have emptied the bag, and it sets up his case S in a very scary way that Evan would be forced to block, and potentially you can draw stuff here every now and then too. That looks like a better idea. Evan plays Marino. I think that should be just fine for him. It sets up a Y spot right here for him to play high if he wants, going out. That should easily be enough. So let me see. Let me see what Quackle had in mind here. It's asking championship player. Moray is not necessarily the best. We will see what it wants in just a second. Okay, so Moray looks like it was pretty strong. It's asking for Minar. Oh, probably because OYE plays in a couple of good spots, including right here on the triple area. So that could be a pretty good 2-turn sequence between Minar setting up Oi. But Marino isn't on the list that I'm seeing, but I'm quite sure that it is a winning play nonetheless. I can't imagine that Aditya has anything. So we'll cut back to this. So yeah, even after Kiva scores incredibly well in that spot. It's going to put Aditya up by a pretty solid margin, but just playing the Y in this spot that Evans just created is still going to outrun it. So this is looking like it is trending towards Canada for the first streamed matchup. Let me see. We've got a couple other games that have already finished. So there we do see Kiva go down. Updates on other games. It looks like Akshay has defeated Jeremy in the first round, and it looks like Nakul has defeated Tony. So even though Canada comes out on top in this game, we will just cut straight to here. Canada wins the first round opening streaming matchup, but India wins in the match between Akshay and Jeremy, and Tony and Nakul as well. So we have 2 wins for India so far. A couple of the other matchups are still ongoing. So let me just cut straight back to the game screen, and I will begin with... Ooh, wow. Okay, so this is a tense game here. Jesse, oh, well, it's not really that tense by score. It looks like Jesse down to his very, very last couple of seconds. It looks like Sherwin successfully blocked Governs at the bottom of the board, making ST by playing Fools. That looks very, very solid. As Grovers is played, hold on a second. That we know that we have a player in this event named Grover. I would guess that Sherwin probably is aware that Grover is not acceptable. So in fact, here's going to be my segue. It looks like Sherwin is going to win this game. So let's cut to the real Grover, which is Udayan Grover. And it looks like he is in a tight matchup here against Dean Saldana, which it looks like is going to go Dean's way here. I don't think that Udayan has anything great. I guess he can... Is there anything he can play for a lot of points here? I don't know. This is, it looks like Dean's lead is probably enough that he's going to hold on to this game. So if that's true, that means that India is going to win the opening round 3-2 over Canada. I think that I have that correct. So we can just tune in for the last play of this game. I think most of the players on both teams are just tuned into this just to see who's going to come out on top here. Oh, the troubled hook. Wait a second. Yeah, sorry, folks. I should not have overlooked that. Maybe there's something here. I don't know. It actually doesn't look like there's a very good play with troubled for Udayan here. Oh, sure, Dada. That's fine. But, yeah, what happens after that? This actually isn't cut and dried. If Dean can't go out with his low point tiles of EIINT, this is actually kind of a scary situation here. Are there any outs for him? Seniti, yeah, so the out that I can see would be Seniti through this S. So playing Dada and Troubled would block that and potentially allow Udayan a second play, which is a very dangerous proposition for Dean here. Oh, Ignite. Ignite. So Ignite would still play. How do you block both of those? Dada does not block Ignite, so that's troublesome. Okay, so Dada eventually is played with Udayan down to next to no time, and I'm sure that Dean has spotted Ignite by now, and I think that's going to go down to secure a win for Canada here. Don't want to cut away just in case something crazy happens, but let's just see. He basically needs to see it. Excuse me. Yeah, I wonder if this is winnable too. I think I'm gonna try to check that in just a second. Um, just a moment. I'm just very curious, so we'll see. Okay, there does go Ignite. And that's going to finish things off for Dean in this game, and it's going to be a much needed win for Canada. So, all right. So we will cut to the score. It looks like it's going to be Canada 2, India 3 after the opening round. And let's get up the poll. I know the players are going to be starting shortly after this game. So let's vote on the round 2 streaming matchup. Lots of good matchups. Feel free to type 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 in the chat for the matchup that you want to see. I'm going to just get a quick look at this game because it's very interesting to see maybe Udayan had something available. So let me see. It was in Udayan's history. Wow, strong preference to watch Jesse and Akshay so far, and that game's already started, actually. So why don't I, so that we don't miss out on any of that, let's just cut straight to that game. Jesse's drawn very, very poorly to start. The poll can continue to run a bit. Thanks for the follow. Actually, I see a bunch of follows that maybe occurred before I went live here. Thanks for all of the recent follows, and also to just a moment ago, Swagrid. I love that name. So you can see Jesse going first against Akshay. That looks like it's the matchup of the people here. So, and thank you to Armpete for the follow as well. So let me see. Jesse plays went instead of potentially exchanging. That seems like a close call. Wow, lots of follows coming in hot and heavy. Thanks, everybody. Hope you guys are enjoying the broadcast. It should be. It's been a close match so far. Pretty much every game seeming to go right down to the wire. And hopefully it continues to go that way. Yeah, Jesse... I don't know what he left there. I know it was like a V and another N, I think. Went is maybe as good as you can do with actually putting a play on the board, but I would definitely have, I'm sure he considered exchanging as well. But Akshay has drawn the first blank, and he's definitely going to bingo here. All right, this poll is pretty much decided. We'll hone in on Jesse versus Akshay. It's also round 2 now. So we're playing 5 rounds for anyone that is just tuning in and not sure the format of what's going on. Basically, we've got 2 teams from Canada and India here. And 5 players on each team, 5 of the best players from each of those 2 countries. And they're going to play all 5 of the players from the other team over 5 rounds of play. So we're going to have a total between these 2 teams of 25 games that will be played over the course of 5 rounds, and the first team that reaches 13 wins will be declared the winner. So you see the score right now after round 1 is 3-2 in India's favor. Still doesn't really move the needle much either way, of course. But 13 is that number that these teams are vying to accumulate here. So Herpeld goes down for Akshay. That seems like a pretty good play, as good as anything else that I saw. It has the benefit of not opening a triple, and I think it's the most he can score here, too. Yeah, the Mind Sports Olympiad thing is coming later. So I'm doing double duty today. First this, and then the tail end of the Mind Sports Olympiad later. Yeah, India does not like defense. They said, well, certainly the statistics bear out that India likes bingoing, and also doesn't seem to mind if their opponents score a lot of points as well. I think the averages were 440 points per game, a very high total for India, but even more for their opponents of 442. So a lot of shootouts are likely when you watch this India team play. And I'm not sure if the first round bore that out, but it seemed like a lot of points were being scored. So back over to Jesse. He has, I think he must have left like VNT on his opening rack, or VNG, something like that. He definitely is going to be looking at playing something up here like Vego. That looks like a solid scoring play. Jesse is definitely not uncomfortable closing the board and playing tightly, which, as we were just saying, the India team's so comfortable scoring loads of points. It might be a good idea to keep things a little bit closed on them and try to prevent them from extending their lead on every other team in number of bingos that they've played, which they've played a lot. So Vego is played here. And yeah, anti-sacks. Not quite, but I think there's going to be plenty of places here to just dump the X. You could play here if you want to be a little bit crazy. You could play here if you want to play a little more carefully. I think, is this, did I mess this up one time? I think this is a word. Yeah, okay, so that's a, for those that are coming from TWL, I messed something like that up one time in a game at Niagara Falls, actually. I don't remember what word I pluralized that doesn't pluralize. Oh, worts. I put one on wort. But yeah, this is an actual S hook here. So it looks like it's really closed, but it's not so closed. So from Akshay's perspective, he can dump AX somewhere and retain a really, really nice lead for hitting this spot. So I'm sure that's likely what he's going to do. He plays Pax instead. That's interesting. I wonder what the thought process was for playing Pax over just AX right here for a few more points. Anybody have any thoughts on why he might have done that? to block Lantern. Oh wow, Lantern, beautiful, great play by Jesse there. I would not have been sure that that was a verb, but Jesse slaps it down pretty confidently. Not surprising to me. Jesse knows stuff like that. So really, really nice play there by Jesse Matthews to get his bingo down to ED on the board, a 9-letter word. You don't see 9-letter words every day in Scrabble, mostly 8s, 7s, and 8s. But Akshay is going to bingo right back through the E of Lantern. He'll definitely play something. Oh wow, is it Collins only? That's kind of scary. I would have had to think pretty hard before playing that one. But it is good. So kudos to Jesse on that play. And Akshay's going to bingo back through the E, and we have ourselves a game. Let me get the other game coverage screen ready. So it's going to be Akshay versus Jesse. And Jesse going first. So we're almost ready to switch back to the Quackle enabled screen. Seeing the statistics, James, he did challenge. He definitely did challenge that word just to see, which I certainly would have given that an extra 5. Okay, we see entrance go down. That looks like a relatively defensive positioning there. It doesn't give back too much in the way of scoring to Jesse, so we like that. All right, let me cut over to this screen, see if it looks right. Not quite, but now it does look right. Okay. There. So Jesse and Akshay locked in a pretty tight battle in the early going. We've seen Lantern go down for Jesse, a great play. Akshay drawing the first blank and playing Herpled. And now Akshay with his second bingo taking a narrow lead. So Jesse's drawn the J and the K together. Whenever you see these sorts of letters, you're looking for places to play joke or koji or something that gets the J and the K off of your rack together. It's possible that the best way that he can do that is to play jokily right here for 28 points. Leaving OR, that seems like a decent play unless there's something available that scores a lot better with the, koji here is, I just pointed out that as a word that you're thinking about when you have the J and the K together. There's no great place to play jokey or joke anywhere. I think I do prefer jokily to koji here for a couple reasons. Getting the Y off of your rack definitely helps you get more bingos down, and putting the K in the triple lane is going to yield way more points. Um, I guess. Oh, I'm seeing suggested Jokal, which that has an interesting benefit to it of keeping the Y, right? So if you play Jokal there for 24 points, holding the Y, potentially if you draw an O or an A after that play, you could get an enormous bingo-like score after that. So the Y with Kai scores a great deal of points here. So that's an interesting idea. That could be one of those plays that doesn't look like it's best at first glance, but ends up scoring boatloads of points. Um, so that has merit to it, but you're going to regret a play like Jokal anytime you don't draw an O or an A. And there are times when you draw an O or an A and you still don't get a 5-letter word that fits there. So it's high risk, high reward. I think I would probably prefer something a little more straightforward. Anybody have any thoughts about if anyone sees anything that stands out as an obvious best play? We can here. Let's have a look at what Quackle thinks. So, okay, so the top static play appears to be Jokali. And just hitting Sim and seeing if anything surprising goes to the top. Roji. What's the point of Roji? I'm not sure. Setting up your K, that doesn't seem like it's worth it. I mean, the K is going to score pretty well even without Roji. I don't feel like you need Roji to set the K up. I'm sure there's something about it that I'm not understanding. Jiao looks okay. I think maybe it likes the Kory leave just because there's a lot of possibility to score well through some of the vowels that are open. Like you can probably hit this area pretty hard a lot of the time. I don't know. I would have probably played Jokali there. So Jiao is played instead. That looks fine. That looks like Jesse is evening up the game and keeping really good scoring tiles. Favis and Jiao suggested very quickly. That looks pretty good. Very poor set of scoring tiles together for Akshay combined with an S. Sometimes the value of the S is it lets you get your worst tiles off all at once, and that is exactly the situation here with Favis, which is being suggested, hooking Jiaos. So we like that idea. I'm just imagining if you are going to try to keep your S here, how would you even do it? I think it pretty much, this situation is crying out for Akshay to use that S and get as many of these clunky tiles off of his rack at once as he can. So I do expect eventually he will play Favis. It hurts to use your S simply because this spot is still nice and wide open to play bingos, but you're not going to be bingoing holding some combination of BFVU anyway. Fuscabat points out almost Fuscabat. Absolutely. It's extremely close to that being playable. Welcome, by the way. So Favis does go down as we expect it would. And Jesse, to his Kory leave, he's drawn another R. He's drawn the blank, which he likes to see, and he's drawn the Q. So very strange mix of good and bad for him on this turn. Very odd mismatched draw for him. He's not so far down that he has to worry about exchanging now and going for bingoing, and he could still, it's very possible that exchanging is correct here, but he can at least imagine that potentially plays like Roki or something are reasonable. I think probably I would prefer to exchange, though. It's just there's no play with the Q that's, you can just dump your Q to this I of entrance, but that leaves an absolutely terrible leave behind for bingoing of Kory. I think I would be happy to see an exchange here and just go for some better tiles. But we already saw Jesse play Went in the early going when an exchange might have been warranted. Jesse may simply be more inclined to try to play his way through some of these racks. So we'll know that for sure, that he's not really in an exchanging mood if he plays Roki here, which is a defensible option, scoring decently. There are 3 U's still to come that can pair well with his Q, hopefully. But honestly, holding Q blank, it's almost, drawing the U is not even a guarantee that he'll have a good play. You really do need that extra letter that isn't a blank to give yourself more flexibility when you have the Q. There's lots of situations where you draw a Q with a blank and even a U isn't enough to give you very good plays unless you're willing to burn the blank, which every now and then is the correct decision, but usually it's better just to ditch the Q when you have the blank, when you have a chance to do it. And that's what I'd be thinking here. I would be thinking this turn is my chance to ditch the Q while it's roughly the best equity play to do so. As opposed to in the future when you're going to want to do it, but there might be plays that are technically more appealing from a points and leaves standpoint. So Jesse taking a good think. One thing that we've noticed with Jesse, I know last week during Canada's match, we saw Jesse lose a game on time. And already we cut to his game in the first round against Sherwin, where he was at major risk of going overtime. So Jesse is taking his time, deliberately thinking through these positions, but he has to be careful about running his time into a dangerous zone. Akshay immediately playing Benga, so Jesse does exchange, and a very, very quick response from Akshay, perhaps expecting that maybe now is his chance, given that Jesse's just taken such a long time on his previous play. I think Akshay probably played that nearly instantaneously. It didn't look like a pre-move, but it's definitely motivated by Jesse taking so much time that now Akshay is going to try to push him into a real problematic situation with his clock. And Jesse did not draw great after his exchange. He probably just kept an R or something like that. He plays Momi. That looks like a nice overlapping play to score a solid amount there. He keeps ERW on his rack, which you don't love to keep the W when you're trying to bingo, but I think that was definitely Jesse's best play. And most importantly, he's played it quickly, but it does give a huge score back. The Y, one of the worst tiles that Jesse could have hoped to avoid, is on Akshay's rack. It scores 43. So Jesse continuing to struggle with this blank and no great place to play it. So Akshay extending his lead over the last couple of turns. The game had been very, very close back and forth after Akshay's bingo, but since that time, Jesse has had to exchange and play Momi, whereas Akshay has had a 35-point play, a 43-point play, and a 16-point fish. So Jesse now in a situation where it's getting more imperative for him to open the board, but with all of these consonants that he has, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to do that. This is a tough situation, and I know that Jesse is going to want to think it through, but he just doesn't have that. He doesn't have enough time to now. He's going to have to play something. I mean, I would want to see him put something out in space right here with a play like this. He needs more threats on the board. There's plenty of vowels to draw. I think he needs another place that he could potentially draw a bingo to pair with this area of the board. So right now, the threats on the current board prior to a play like Ute is, you got to luck into bingos that play here or something through this T. And there it is. Okay, so I like that play. I think that is called for here. Yeah, Pax. That was such an interesting game. Interesting turn, I should say. So I do like the play of Ute for Jesse. Let's put that in. Keep going. So yeah, let's see. Over to Akshay. Akshay has a bingo-ish rack. So this is going to be tricky. Jesse has to somehow beat Akshay to the punch to get a bingo down. Akshay does not have a playable bingo here, but he has very good bingo tiles, including an S, which, again, this spot is just totally wide open, excuse me, for either player that has an S. And he plays Tour. Okay. So Jesse's drawn after Ute. He's redrawn an E and a U, and he's definitely going to play something like Spurred right now. So here's the question. Has Akshay drawn something to his leave of ARS after Tour? If he has, he's going to maintain his advantage in this game. But if Akshay has missed a bingo, so Jesse we know is going to play Spurred or something, Usurper, something like that, any of those plays that hit the triple lane with, or Usurper, okay, the double-double. Yeah, he's opted for the double-double with Wentz, which that's interesting because I think this play, in addition to scoring roughly as well as plays here, it really, any play with Spurred that I had suggested gives back an easy line to Akshay. And sure enough, had he played Spurred, he's going to play Basilar anyway. Oh, man. Okay, this is huge. Deface goes down. Oh, my God. Okay, let me try to figure out what's going on here. The Y has become the huge tile of this game. Whichever player draws the Y is going to be in an unbelievably strong position. So it's all about that. And basically, now from Akshay's perspective, he has to decide what to do. Do I try to block this Y? He has no way to do so in a helpful way. There's no way for Akshay to block Basilary while also scoring any kind of points. And he needs points here because he's down by about 20. If he takes a tiny, tiny score to block, like if he plays this, well, that would still give up Edify. So basically, maybe something like Quaff, right? If Akshay is tempted to do this to block the Y, he runs a huge risk of being outrun in this game. So it's possible now, from Akshay's perspective, he has to use as many tiles as he can and go for the Y himself. That might actually be the way to go here. And he plays Odic. So Akshay playing Odic to the bottom of the board. Jesse has not drawn the Y. So now from Jesse's perspective, he has to sweat this. And again, the same concern applies. If he takes too few points to block the spot, he can now be outrun by Akshay. So basically, we're in a race to see who is going to get this gigantic Basilary and Phi play. Wow. Wasn't Deuce a good play? Possibly, yeah. Deuce would have been a decent play. The problem with it is that it would have kept two eyes for Akshay. And there were more to draw in addition to that. So it's definitely a reasonable play, but Odic did have the advantage of using up one of the eyes there. All right, let me try to get back on. I've fallen well behind on my Quackling because the action came really fast and furious there. Odic was played. All right, Jesse has just a brutal situation here. He has no great way of doing anything. It looks like potentially Latu suggested another, so that scores 21. Another idea would be to play Auda here for 21 using one more tile than Latu, because you really, oh my God, the Y. So Jesse plays Iota, and Akshay has drawn the K, the Q, and the Z, but no Y. So the question is now, can Akshay score enough points anywhere with this rack to outrun a potential play with Basilary? Leafy, something like Leafy is available, right? So Jesse could easily have Leafy for a massive score here. So play of Iota for Jesse. He's definitely down on time. This is going to be tricky. From Jesse's perspective, drawing the Y is the best thing that could happen because he can just slap it down for a huge score. So, wow, this is getting close. Jesse's time is an issue. Akshay obviously needing to figure out what he wants to do here. It's possible now that Akshay can try to block this area, right? Because he has drawn such heavy tiles here. Now is the time to to consider, yeah, blocking. Maybe just a play like this. I mean, it leaves terrible tiles left over. That's a scary. I mean, leaving QZ is unideal as well. So from Akshay's perspective, he can play okay for 46. It leaves the Q and the Z behind. That's the problem with that. So basically, this is really unclear what to do because the Basilary play scores so well, and when you play okay in that spot, you run the risk of not being able to play your Q and your Z in the endgame. So this is a very interesting situation. I have no idea what I would like to see here. I'm thinking, man, I think that Akshay can probably do... I think he can block the Basilary hook here and get away with it. I think he's got enough ammo in the endgame to take it. So he's down by 3. He plays okay, taking a 24-point lead. As long as he can score decently with the Z on his next turn, I'm sure he'll find it much easier to score with the Z than with the Q. I think he might be able to outrun Jesse here. I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know. Yeah, there's a number of things that all play with Basilary if he leaves the spot open, and it scores an unbelievable amount in that spot, right? If we just put 63, right? It scores 63. I think you have to block it, right? I don't know. This is a brutal situation. I'm asking Championship Player what it thinks. When it pops up with an answer, I'll let you know what that answer is. Okay, here it is. So I don't know how much stock to put in this, but it is calling for all plays that block the Y hook. All the top plays block the Y. So yeah, Championship Player is absolutely not a source that we should trust for sure here. I'm just throwing it out there as another idea. It's definitely fallible, but it's good to have as much information as you can get. Thank you to capital letter AJ for the follow. Hope you enjoy the coverage here. We are in a very tight pre-endgame situation. So Akshay plays off his Q. He just plays the Q. He's sort of seeding the Y hook. Jesse with 45 seconds left. There it is, Leafy for 75. The problem, though, is that he leaves GIIU. So as unbelievably lopsided as this score is, it's not impossible that Akshay, with these great scoring tiles, can make up this deficit. Oh, man. That might have been Akshay's best option, is to just hope that he can overcome the... By holding the Q, he basically cripples himself in the endgame. By shedding it, even by yielding the huge Y plays, it's possible that he has enough ammo here to win this. I'm not sure. He might be down by just too much. I just don't know. Oh my god, this is quite insane. Let me see here. I'm going to spoil it for myself, but not for everybody just yet. This is okay. So Championship Player is better at endgame than pre-endgame, and Championship Player says that there is a winning play here. I will reveal it to you guys in just a second. There is one play that wins this game for Akshay, and it is a complicated sequence. It's a very complicated sequence. Yeah, okay, so the play has been pointed out. Really nice find by Zanjero. That's Marlon. Good to see you in the chat here. So playing Hike underneath Iota, leaving Ron's left behind, is a winning play here for Akshay. If Jesse then blocks Ron's... Okay, so let me just show you what's happening here. So if we go back to hike, hike is the only play evaluated as a win here. So let me get all the other plays off. This is the only win. 13C hike. Instead, he plays honky. Is that spelling even good? I think it is. But holding the Z by itself, I wonder if he's just... I think Jesse should be able to just win here. Yeah. Okay, so not enough time for Akshay to work out the winning sequence. I think with more time, he could have probably done it. But again, that's where you see the ISC effect of playing with just 15 minutes online. So hike in this spot right here, oops, all right, instead of honky, had we seen hike go down, leaving ZON, that would have left Ron's as a second scoring play for 33, or if Jesse blocks that, he just plays Zoe right here, Akshay does, to win. So that is quite amazing. So you can see, yeah, sorry, hike would have been here. Let me just go back and actually observe the history of this game, and we'll go back to the actual situation. There, okay, here's the situation here for Akshay. Right here with this rack, he plays hike in that spot, holding ZON for the second play there. If Jesse blocks it with a play like Sui, you see Zoe go down to outrun. So, wow, very, very, very exciting finish to this game. Huge win for Jesse Matthews as he comes out on top in a really, really exciting game. That was a lot of fun. The Basilary hook ending up just absolutely critical. It's possible. Oh, it's possible maybe I didn't put in a challenge or something where it wouldn't have won. I think it wins. I think I put in the challenge for Lantern, so I had the scores correct going into this. Yeah, I did. Okay, let's look at the other games. Oh, all the games are completed. So all right, all the other games have finished up. Let's cut to the matchup coverage screen, and I'm going to get the results of those games. And while we do that, let's vote on the round 3 poll. So we are moving right along here. We've just seen a really, really huge win for Jesse over the top seed of India, Akshay. Let's have a look at Sherwin. Dean Saldana defeated Sherwin Rodriguez. Tony Leah dropped his game to Udayan Grover, and let's put that in for India. Jeremy and Aditya Iyengar was won by Aditya. Hold on, let me get that one for India. And Evan versus Nakul Prabhu was in Evan's favor. So Canada responding to their loss 2-3 in the opening round by winning their next match 3-2 and evening up this matchup overall at 5-5. So let me just get this updated. So the score is now all knotted up 5-5. We've seen a couple of really awesome games that we could sink our teeth into here. And we'll just cut right back to the game screen, and it looks like Tony and Sherwin doing well, and that game has started. So let's just cut right to this game. Tony has opened with Chi, not sure what we had, but let's just hone in on this game. It looks like it's winning the poll pretty handily. So yeah, if we need another game to cut to, Evan and Udayan will be our first resort. But for now, let's just cut back to this. We are into round 3 now of this semifinal matchup to determine our first finalist at the Virtual World Cup between Canada and India. After 2 rounds, the teams are knotted up at 5. So the only prediction that I was willing to offer early on was that this match would finish 13-12 in one of the 2 teams' favors. I didn't specify a team. So far, my prediction looking good. Wow, that's interesting. I'm surprised by that exchange. I feel like it would have been... I'm sure there was some play that Sherwin could have put on the board there. I wasn't looking too closely. But let me just get my stuff ready here, Quackle and interface and such. So thanks to everybody for watching. I hope you guys are enjoying so far. The games have been really good. Hopefully we get more of the same going forward. But this matchup here between Tony Leah, who was last week's hero, unbelievable comeback against Rick Kennedy last week against Team Ireland to Canada. It was actually amazing. I think Sherwin is going to bingo here with Trail or Trey. I'm not even sure if it's more of a French origin. Yes, there is a new emote, one of my cats. Yeah. Anyway, Sherwin has not played his bingo yet, so he has a 7-letter word available right here. I would think that he would have seen that and played it. But anyway, just to finish my story about last week, unbelievably exciting comeback for Canada against Ireland. Canada going into the last round, basically I don't remember the exact score, but it was very close. But India started out with 2 wins, and then they were basically winning. Ooh, the bingo is missed by Sherwin. So that's a pretty big miss of a bingo that would have really helped him get out of this kind of in-between-ish rack. So back over to Tony. He catches a break as Sherwin misses trail here. And he doesn't have a great way to capitalize. This is not the sort of board that you expect to see that often at the Virtual World Cup right here. This this board is yeah. So Tony plays Laup, which that looks reasonable. It gets rid of the W and the P together. So yeah, so a very similar rack for Sherwin to last turn. I think he's going to wish that he had found that bingo when he discovers it after the fact, because this rack does not have a playable bingo, and he's going to have to play something like, I don't know, just EEW. I don't know what's better, EEW or EWE. This at least creates an E hook for him to play a bingo there, but I'm not sure I would want to do that here. I would probably just keep it close and try to hit something in that spot. Tricky. That's a tricky one. So Tweel is played instead. So using a few more tiles, and Amniote on Tony's rack is definitely going to play somewhere. He can, I guess the spot for him to play it with the N hook on Chi just got blocked. Not that that was the best spot available to play it, but I would think that just playing it right here looks decent. Getting extra points for the M. Almost Tomaine. Yeah, almost Tomaine. Not quite after Tweel. But so Sherwin in the early going, just struggling with in-between-ish racks. He did miss a bingo, it must be said. And Tony plays Amniote. So firm command of the game in the early going for Tony Leah here. There we go. Sherwin, to his leave of IER, has drawn a V and a Y, which you never want to see when you're trying to get bingos down. He does not. I mean, he can play some stuff here. That scores 38. Putting the V in this particular spot at a deficit, it's definitely, I don't know, some players would be comfortable doing that even at this score just to avoid giving really easy plays there, but I might be, well, it does create a huge S hook. Whereas a play like Yevon allows access to the triple. Okay, so he has opted to play Yevon. So that's interesting between those two plays, because obviously the difference between Yevon and Veni is that Veni doesn't open up this lane but gives up S hooks, whereas Yevon does not give up an S hook. So could go either way, I think. So back over to Tony. He has an S, so in point of fact, had we seen Venny go down, he's going to play Fisk for a huge score and close the spot immediately. But instead, he's going to have a little bit more difficult of a time doing that much to the triple lane. He'll definitely have some plays if he wants, like Fico. That was the play I was literally about to suggest. But at least from Sherwin's perspective, Fico does give back more space to get a bingo down. And of course, he's not drawn anything close to a bingo here. I wonder if just something like Alive is what he should do just to get some points on the scoreboard here. Venny could have played at N6. Oh, sure. Yeah. Oh, wait. N6? LAN? Yeah, I don't think LAN. LAN, we all think is a word from local area network, but I don't think so. But Fico... Yes. Okay, so he plays Lope instead. So the idea behind Lope for Sherwin is just to create a really good lane, but I think there were enough lanes available on the board. Well, maybe not. I don't know. That's tough. I guess you need an S or an N, I suppose, for this to be useful. So... yeah, he gave up a few. Sherwin gave up a few points on the scoreboard to put a better lane on the board. I'm not sure what I like there. I think I would probably bide my time before making an opening like that. I think it's okay to play Alive there for a few more points. But I totally get why Sherwin is doing that. At this particular score, it is a bit urgent for him to create more lanes, and he's going to have to start hitting them in quick succession if he wants to get back into the game. Oh, yeah, good point. A Tweel. That's right. So between a Tweel and the easy sevens lane to see, and potentially drawing an S or an N in that spot, I think I would prefer playing through the V on that turn. And man, Sherwin is just not drawing well. But then again, he did have an opportunity to play a bingo from this from his rack of when he played Lee. Moving tribute to Jason Lee, one of the Canadian not Collins players, perhaps, but definitely gonna hurt. It's gonna sting after the game when he sees that, probably. Tony plays Devo through that same V that we had suggested to play for Sherwin. That looks pretty good for him. It scores well. It leaves an S. And the only drawback is it also left 2 R's and a U, so we'll see. Oh, wow. Okay, so the 2 R's and a U have paired very nicely with another S and the C and the E, so we're going to see a bingo here. The only question is, where will Tony opt to play it? It's possible that... Is there some agrees play that's here? Skurs? I don't think that's a word. I think he has to play cursors and cheese. Or... and as. Is there any other place? Let me see. So agree goes down for Sherwin. That looks like a decent way to score, and the buzzword that we like to use for a play like agree is that cursors with the first S. That looks much better positionally. That's the best play. But the term we use for a play like agree is that it quote unquote forks the board a little bit, in the sense that it creates 2 lanes that cannot both be blocked at once. Actually, they can technically. There are certain plays because of the D-lope hook, right? If there was a particularly good overlapping play with D-lope, there would be a way to block both. Wow, okay, that's very surprising. First of all, I don't think agreeer is a word. And secondly, a miss there of cursors, or maybe perhaps not sure of cursors. So this could be a huge swing. I'm very surprised by that from Tony's perspective. I think that cursors is one of those words that you could just put together from having ERS on your rack. But yet, Sherwin does not challenge it. Oh my gosh. So that would have been a huge swing there. I'm very, very surprised by that on both parts. Surprised to see cursors not go down, and very, very surprised not to see agreeer just get a courtesy 5 points, because it would have been an enormous swing for Sherwin to call that off the board. Of course, had Sherwin challenged that, I do give Tony a good chance to collect his wits about him and find cursors again on his next turn. I think that's one of those situations where, from Sherwin's perspective, it would have been completely befuddling to see to challenge off a Greer, as we do see Unsquar go down. We had seen that on Tony's rack, so it all is going to end up okay for Tony here, but that was a very surprising swing for both players. But yeah, just to finish my point, I would not have been surprised at all if Sherwin challenged off a Greer, that Tony then came back with his bingo on the next turn, which from Sherwin's perspective would have been like, what? You know, why? What are you doing? But hey, we're all fallible. It's easy to attribute our opponent, perfect play finding and word finding skills. But really, we are all fallible, and mistakes like that do happen. So Sherwin, with his rack consisting of an H and a U, he sheds those 2 tiles. I think he leaves IN after that play. So I think playing a Ruhe in that spot is a good idea, just to continue to open big threats. He's going for the win. These players are not worried about point spread here for the most part. They're trying to win each game at all costs. So the idea of opening a triple lane at this score, it's going to potentially worsen things for Sherwin at times when Tony has something good through the A. But if Tony doesn't have anything good through the A, potentially those are the sorts of plays that let Sherwin actually fight his way back into the game. So Tony playing Strap, that's interesting. He did not have to burn his S there to block up high, I don't think. He could have just played something like Adapt, and I think Sherwin should have something here, right? Deviant, does that play anywhere? Maybe not. It did, oh yeah, Deviant with the N and Chin, of course. Okay, so Sherwin gets a bingo down. He's going to need a lot more than that. He will need much, much more than just the 1 bingo to get back in the game. Even after his bingo, he's down by about 80 points. So that's going to hurt. And he set up a really nice spot to the triple to score in, but I'm not sure that Tony has anything good there. So he's dodged a little bit of a bullet. Oh, I think I see. I messed up some of my quacking here. Let me see if I can get back on track real quick. Uke, Unswar, Ruhi, Strap. Thanks for the follow to Merlin Nimue. Not sure if I'm getting that right, but hope you are enjoying Scrabble coverage here of the Virtual World Cup. We are in round 3, just to recap. What's going on? We're playing a semifinal match here to determine the first finalist in the Virtual World Cup. We've been at this for well over a month, or just a month, I guess. Not well over a month. But it feels like it's been a long road to get to this point. Both of these teams have played 4 matches to get here. 3 matches of pool play, and each of the 2 of these teams won their opening round quarterfinal matchup in our bracket. Oh, wow. Bogarted does not quite fit through the E. Tag board doesn't quite fit anywhere. So tantalizing, not quite bingos here for Sherwin, as he really needs one in a hurry to fight his way back here. So let me see. Deviant was played. Oh, wow. It's annoying. All right. My Quaggle is hopelessly behind. No worries. Let's just go with brain power. Yeah, tag board through the A of Strap. Not quite. Wow, that is high praise from Dacron when you can listen to the calm, soothing voice of William Anderson. But I do so many impressions that I could become extremely abrasive in a hurry. My natural voice. No impressions today, as we're doing a quote-unquote serious stream here. But, yeah, okay, so Sherwin doesn't have a bingo. Yes, it is. My full name is William. Very few people call me that, but one of the people in this world that Call Me William is one of the players in this event, Jesse Matthews. He, anytime I see Jesse at a tournament, he says, William, in exactly that way. So yes. All right, so Sherwin plays Doab for 39. He's forced to sort of score as much as he can just to stay in range. But things are not looking good for him here. In fact, let's just check in and see the other game that we were curious with the poll. Let's just see how Evan is doing here against Udayan. That was doing well in the poll. They're not too far into their game compared to the other one that we're watching. So yeah, it looks like a back and forth game here. Neither player in firm control. Udayan is up a small amount with Evan on turn, and he's going to probably play something to the triple. So let's just see if Sherwin can complete this comeback here. Tony playing Baft, just trying to get rid of his B and F together. Let me see if we cut to this. We can get this ready. This is between Sherwin and Tony, with Tony going first. There we go. So this is a pretty daunting situation for Sherwin, but then again, Tony did give him a potential lifeline with his play of Agreeer. So maybe we see something else like that. I don't know. So Sherwin playing Gam. He's going for a bingo as soon as he can. The spots that he has available to play one are right here, or he can luck into something to the D, and he needs one of those spots to materialize really soon. It's possible. I mean, I'm just looking at the unseen tiles at the bottom. It's maybe possible if Tony opts to block one of the, I don't know, maybe if he opts to block this area for a very low number of points, we could potentially see something like Rezojet go down for Sherwin in that spot from the unseen pool. He has to have the exact tiles of REJORST blank if he's going to do that. Very unlikely. I'm not seeing great. Okay, there we go. There is the sort of mistake. Wow, I'm amazed by that. So Tony playing Dialage, that word would have been good with two L's. So that could be a big swing. The problem with it now is that from Sherwin's perspective, wait a second. The unseen tiles do not look correct. Let me get back to this. Let me unobserve and observe again. There we go. Okay, now the unseen tiles are correct. Okay, so basically when a player like Sherwin has that happen, you know what he's going to do is he's going to look at the unseen tiles and he's going to say, I can now know the exact tiles that are in the bag, right? So you know the D was just played, the I was just played, the A, the L, another A, G, E. So the tiles in the bag are JNNR blank, which does not really, that's not going to help that much. So by playing a bingo here of, I don't know, shorty, anything in this spot. There are 7-letter words that play there, like shorty. Maybe that's all. But those plays don't look like they can really win. I think he has to, I mean, there may not be a reasonable play here to make, but I think with those tiles available, he has to go for the J, right? Let's see. How can he do it? He's got to go for J blank and try to hit that spot. Doesn't he need, if he, Ho 7C. That could be okay. That scores 24, leaves good tiles behind. But we definitely can't, from Sherwin's perspective, he definitely cannot play his bingo here. But I think he should be going for Rezojet, right? Why doesn't he try to hit the J? Why, if he hits J blank after playing HI, he threatens the huge bingo in that spot. And it's possible that Tony will feel compelled to block the D instead, not realizing it. So in my opinion, I would like to see HI be played somewhere. I think that is more of a realistic chance. I mean, given it's going to require imprecise play by Tony. A J stick. Okay, maybe. I guess that's possible. The J stick is definitely in play. It's going to be hard to J stick him with all those vowels, though. Diethers. Okay, yeah, that may be better. That may be better. I don't see why the J stick doesn't feel like it's likely to happen with Tony having that many vowels. Okay, I see the. All right, I see what you're saying. I don't know. This is tough. Obviously, the score of this game makes it really, really difficult to find a play that's going to feel satisfactory. I don't feel like a lot of the plays that we're suggesting are likely to win anyway. I mean, it's just. This is just a tough situation. But it did. Dial Edge definitely opened. It definitely opens the door. Demijohn. I wonder maybe that's what to fish for. Yeah, this is brutal. So how are you're going to hit Demijohn by playing off RST and drawing JN blank. Maybe that's what to do. Man, fishing RST though is so crazy. Where is that going to be? Right there? Oh, wait, no. That's a roulette is not a word. So where would that go? RST. I'm just trying to imagine where could you fish that wouldn't be insanely surprising. Yeah, I don't think one tile is enough. I think you need to play more. This is a tricky one. Yeah, I'm enjoying you guys trying to work this out because I certainly am confused about what is the best way to approach this. Oh, you want to fish one now? Leave 4 in the bag. Yeah, maybe. I mean, it just means I guess you really, if you're doing that, you probably are pinning your hopes on on Tony having an unplayable J. Okay, eventually it seems like Sherwin could not figure out a way to fish for something that, I mean, I don't think that this doesn't win, right? I don't know. I guess he could potentially threaten a J play. Maybe he was going for some kind of big J overlapping play to at least threaten. I don't know what was available necessarily, but this should be pretty straightforward from Tony's perspective to just score decently through, I don't know, probably he should just block the easy J play. Let's see, how could he do it? He could just play deal. Or this, right? Is that a word? No. Yeah, that looks pretty good because then you leave Disa as another play. Is there a good J play through there? I don't think so. Yeah, any play that just blocks that. Oh, Agile, that's nice. It scores 32. It does give up a simple J play that I think could have been avoided, but it's not a big deal. So that's going to be a win for Tony. Boy, this game had some excitement to it, I would say. Yeah. That was a really tough pre-end game. Obviously, it was just made very, very exciting by the phony of Dialage and try to figure out how to approach that situation. I wonder, yeah, that's going to be one for more analysis. That's just really tough. I'm just trying to work out what was the likeliest fish, and you also, that's one of those psychology situations where you have to figure out when you do make a fish in that turn for something that you're trying to draw. How is Tony going to read that from Sherwin's perspective, right? So basically, if you do something that looks to Tony like you're gunning for a huge bingo, is he going to think that it's here or here? Right? So you're trying to figure out the fish, not only that's probabilistically most likely to happen, but you're also trying to figure out what fish will misdirect him to block the wrong spot. So that is a very, I mean, that's not easy to do. Um, so, all right, very, very exciting game there between Tony and Sherwin, and that does come out in favor of Canada. So let's see. Let's cut back to the Evan game. We'll just go to the backup screen here and reverse the flags. So this looks like a pretty exciting game. Let's see. We can try to get situated with what's happened in the game. It looks like one bingo for both players. Uneager for Evan and Tolanes for Udayan. And Udayan just plays Plu, taking a nice lead. Evan has decent bingo tiles, but nothing that plays. He'll probably look to play FE or FEE somewhere. So yeah. Oh, don't observe any more games. India is losing all of them. Okay, so India is winning this one. But yeah, it looks like Tony just defeated Sherwin. Akshay just lost to Dean Saldana. So let me get some of those results entered in so we don't have to do it later. So that's going to be, this game is in progress. Dean defeating Akshay and Tony defeating Sherwin. Okay, so good start so far in the observe the MSO games. Not today. Later, I promise later there will be some of that for those that want that. Okay, so right now I will adjust the score in the middle of this round. We have 2 wins for Canada already in this round, so it's 7-5, halfway through round 3. Request for Scrabble cubes. We can. There's definitely a time for that. Thank you very much to Coco Scrabble. I appreciate that. Trying not to do too much self-promotion. This is not, I have, just to reciprocate here, the only reason that I'm even doing these broadcasts is at the behest of Evans and Jen, who have done an incredible amount of work organizing this event. So I really hesitate to use this as any kind of opportunity to self-promote, because this really is their baby, and it's the reason it's been so successful is entirely for their effort. So I do appreciate that. So yeah, I guess from Evan's perspective, he can just dump the F in that spot and go for something good, but Udayan's drawn. I think he did not have the blank on his previous turn, so he must have just drawn it, and he should be able to play something at the very least like Logian's in that spot with Eel. There may be better plays somewhere else that I'm not seeing. Is there something like Isologic? Is that, I don't know about that one. Yeah, okay. I didn't like it. I didn't like it when I said it. So, yes. But Logian should do the trick here. Basically, Udayan already has the lead. So, just playing Logian's, the word that we're all sure is a word, gives him more than a bingo advantage. So, even if Evan hits something, Udayan will still be in good shape here. So this could be a game that India needs pretty badly. So I was warned. Thank you to, is that, I think we have a sibling, a Canadian sibling has just followed the channel. Thank you so much to D Elephant. I'm pretty sure I know who that is. No, I'm DLs in the chat. Yes. Dean has been doing really well so far, actually. So if we just take a quick look back at the matchup coverage, it looks like Dean so far 3-0 through the first 3 rounds. So he's having a really good performance. And basically, Dean was unavailable last week. And into his shoes very ably stepped Matthew Tunnicliffe, who has done amazingly well in his 2 stints as a sub here. And basically, Dean is picking up where Matthew left off, going 3-0 so far. There's been no drop off from that number 4 seed position of Canada. That's been so productive. Okay, let me just cut back to the game. Yeah, baby, the graphic. It's beautiful. Okay, so loosing was played. Wow, that's a big swing. So, sorry I missed that. So rather than Logion, we see loosing go down, which scores a slight downgrade in points, right? You don't hit the G on the double letter score, and it gives up an S hook that I wonder what Evan would have had available after just Logions. Well, I guess Celestas. He would have simply played Celestas to the S of Logions, barring something better, but that would have been many fewer points. Okay. But Udayan is going to play something like Quat. Yeah, he's going to play Quat. It looks like Udayan lost connection for a minute, so we'll pick up this game when he comes back. But things are not totally hopeless for Evan. There is an H unseen in the pool. It's not impossible that Evan can draw something now, hooking CH and bingoing to that E of Celesta. If he can play something really heavy with that H, it might even outrun Quat, right? So if he scores, so Evan is down 20. We're going to see a very high scoring play for Udayan when he comes back. If I can just, is he back yet? Not yet. He's having some kind of connection issue. As soon as he comes back, we'll pick the game back up where it's left off. But basically, Evan really needs a big H play here. So we will see if he can get that down. There he is. Okay, back to the action. So I would assume we're going to see Quat be played very quickly. I am observing now. I did it literally as fast as humanly possible. So yeah, you see the timer running. So it's all up to what Evan has drawn here. The unseen tiles you can see at the bottom left of the screen are pretty good, right? There's no power tiles left. It's all bingo-ish tiles, low point tiles. You could easily imagine a play like Plights or Alights. Oh wait, those plays don't fit. Sorry, it would maybe something ending in ISH. HTS doesn't fit. But there are still plays that could fit with this. So to me, that's the way that Evan can get lucky. I am surprised not to see Quat already go down. Okay, there it is. All right, so Evan has not drawn the H and is going to be hard-pressed to find a spot to bingo here. So this will be a big win for India if Udayan can hold on, which I think Evan would have needed to hit a big play in that spot right now. Obviously, the chances of him drawing that were very, very minimal. So, it's not like a huge disappointment not to see him have a play in that spot. I think his odds of hitting it were quite low. So let's see if we cut to some of the other games. We already know that Canada has won a couple of games this round. Let's see. It looks like Jesse Matthews defeated Aditya Iyengar as well. So there's another win for Canada. So they're racking some up here. And how about Jeremy versus Nakul? That is a win for India and Nakul Prabhu. So that stops the bleeding in round 3. The first official win on the board for India in round 2 is Nakul Prabhu over Jeremy Hildebrand. Okay, so if we just cut back, so as Evan thinks this position over, we'll just cut back and look at what's going on in the matchup coverage. So you can see round 3 already going pretty well for Canada, but I think Udayan is pretty firmly in command in this game. And I'm not going to necessarily give him the win just yet. But right now, Canada is up 8-6 pending the result of this game, and we think it's going to be 8-7 once Udayan wraps up this win over Evan Borofsky. So we'll see how it goes down here, but it's continued to be incredibly tight. So yeah, I wonder what can Evan really do to give himself a chance? Does he have something that he can fish to? Yeah, probably not. I mean, in that spot, he has to try to hit it, but it doesn't seem very likely. So this is just one of those situations, again, where there probably is no play that's going to make Evan feel very good about his winning chances. It's not that he isn't finding it. It's just that it's not available. Do I plan to commentate any other tournaments? Yes, I would love to commentate everyone's tournament to the end of time. I'm actually doing another tournament literally right after this. On a different channel, but I'm not gonna. You can find that on social media. I'm not gonna promote it during this stream, but it's the Mind Sports Olympiad. Did one of those streams yesterday, but for now we are focusing on this event, Virtual World Cup, which I am enjoying doing a great deal. So, yes. I'm definitely having fun doing these events. I hope you guys are too. I hope people are enjoying it, trying to make it better all the time. Okay, so bot is played by Evan. That is interesting. It creates a pretty big spot for him to bingo out. The problem is that the score is such that it should not be that difficult for Udayan just to outrun him with a pretty simple play like Poe, right? That should do it every time. I can't imagine that this will ever lose. So, yeah. This game does look like it's headed in the direction of India. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to assume that India is going to pull this out. And I will update. Where is it? There we go. All right, a lot of the other games in round 4. Oh, both. Right, so anything in that spot too. Either way, both looks much more conclusively blockable. Yep. So it definitely looks like Udayan should pull this game out. A lot of the games in round 4 have begun. So what I'm going to do is give India the credit for this win. If I am surprised, then I will eat my words later on. But let me just get the poll up for round 4 because we're going to start this in a minute. And I'm just going to hop off for just a sec. I'll be right back. And once the poll, everybody should feel free to vote 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we'll check in on the winning game in just a minute. I'll be right back. Wow. This poll super tight. Hold on a second. Okay. So just cutting back, I will cut back to this screen. The poll can continue. I am back. So it does look like the spot was blocked, and I don't think Evan drew anything anyway. So the win is definitely going to be sealed here for India, and it's an incredibly close matchup between a couple of these games. I'm just going to tune into Evan versus Sherwin first, and we'll see if Dean versus Aditya gets traction, if this game is good or bad. Oh, wait a second. That Evan is obviously in this game. So let's see what's going on with Aditya and Dean. Actually, we haven't seen Aditya or Dean play yet, so that might be nice. Let's watch this. Dean's doing well. So I will just minimize the poll right now. We'll keep it running a little bit. Actually, why don't I just cut to this so the poll can still be on the screen, but just very small. In just a minute, Dean is going to make the interface look good so it doesn't say 98p, and we're going to have it be Dean Saldana versus Sherwin. Or no, Aditya. There we go. Okay. So the poll is still up. It's a little bit small there, hard to see. But yeah, we haven't seen these players much so far in this matchup. So let me see. Let's get Assurer. Oh no, that's unfortunate. But still, the game is nice and close. Let me see if I can get situated with the quacking. So Dean opening with Meiotic to start the game. That's nice. And Aditya responding with Viziers to even the score. So right now, just an overall recap of what is going on in this event. It is 8-7 in favor of Canada going into round 4, which this is round 4. So it's extremely close, this battle between Canada and India to determine the first finalist at the Virtual World Cup. Wow, it's going to go right down to the wire, as so many of these matches have. It's really, really been a treat for that reason. Just high drama all the time. Yuka was played, Viziers was played in the more defensive spot. And then I guess Assurer was available. And Dean appears to have played Hour instead to set up his S's for Sour. And it is Aditya's turn with a bunch of consonants. Okay. So we'll stick with this game. I'm seeing the poll is really, really close between these two games. So I will make the executive decision to focus on this game first. And I think because the last game between Evan and Udayan was a slow one to finish, we should be able to pick up some of that towards the end. So we'll stay with this as our round 4 streaming matchup for now, as we see Ryer be played. That looks pretty good. 32 points, gets rid of a lot of those consonants. The only thing you might worry about with Ryer is simply after Dean's play of Hour, which looks like a pretty aggressive bingo-prone play. Hour is a play that Dean would make with good bingo tiles left on his rack. Do you have to worry about opening a triple lane? And the answer is probably not if the triple lane is with a W. I have been burned before by opening a triple lane with a W in that with that reasoning, but I think in general it's pretty safe to put W's in the triple lane when your opponent has good bingo tiles. So Swarf is played by Dean. He blocks that W up. That looks like a reasonable option. There were a ton of close options there that I'm seeing. Aditya quickly responds with unbe, one of those silly looking words that I'm not sure I've seen unbe used in common parlance, but it scored 29 points. Nice overlap there. So nice back and forth game so far. Yeah, I think Swarf looked pretty good. So Dean holding Okay, the move's coming in very quick. Dean holding good bingo tiles, but just with an extra A and an O. He plays Ova, which again is better than Avo because he had an L, and oh my god, incredible. All right, so just to unpack this, we've seen some huge bingos hit the board here. Dean plays Ova over Avo because he had an L on his rack for the oval hook. He left LATES behind. Aditya plays a great bingo of Pithead there, and Dean responds by he draws the X to his great bingo leave, along with an I, and plays Flaxiest for 128 points. So even though Aditya just bingoed to go up by a solid amount, Dean hits a hammer blow of a bingo for 128 to take a 40-point lead. So Aditya responds very quickly with a nice rack cleaning play that also scores 36 points of Bedrug. And now Dean has drawn some power tiles to replenish his rack after his huge bingo. So those those plays came in very, very fast, potentially with the aid of a pre-move, which is totally fine, of course. So, all right, looking at the unseen tiles, it looks like a lot of duplicates, a lot of vowels. I wouldn't say that the unseen tiles that you see at the bottom of your screen, I don't think that they're particularly scary as far as bingoing. There is a blank, though. That blank is going to loom very large. There are no S's left. They've all been played, so the spool hook is not nearly as good as it was. Again, that S... that blank, I should say, is the only tile that can fit in that spot now. So it's really taken on a pretty outsized importance here in this game. So yeah, other than the blank, though, you see the J, the K, V, a W, a whole bunch of N's that you could have duplicated. So there's definitely plenty of bingos available, but this pool without those S's in it, and a couple of power tiles still lurking that really hurt your bingo chances, is not quite as dangerous as usual. So Dean has a good chance here of scoring very well with his Z and his Q over the next couple turns. Seeing some requests potentially for Kanat. That looks pretty safe, actually. So Kanat in this spot right here, scoring 26. There are no U's left in the pool as well, so it's much less dangerous to put a Q out in space because with the U's gone, it's going to be hard to use them. Dean instead plays Zoom. So Zoom scores a bit better than Kanat. It scores 13 more points. So he may have just wanted to keep the scoring pressure a little bit higher with that move and hope that he gets a little bit of help somewhere for his Q, but it's not clear where that help is going to come. He does have an open U that he can dump it. So I think I would have favored Kanat there just because the Q is a little bit, let's just have a Quackle opinion on that. Yeah, it looks like a pretty strong preference for Kanat just because the Z on the next turn, I mean, at the very least, you are going to score 30-something with Zoo in that same spot or something better. I mean, there's many, many things he could have drawn in this spot with ZO that would have potentially blocked more conclusively. Well, maybe not many things. I actually don't see that much. Okay, Hefe is played by Aditya. It's still super, super close. And now you see kind of the problem with keeping the Q here is that it's a really close game and Dean needs to continue to keep his scoring pressure up. But now he doesn't have a great way to use his Q. I guess he can play Kadi. That's all right, 28 points. But it would have been a little bit better for him if he had the Z now to play through this big triple spot that was just opened up. So he's going to have to play his Q somewhere else and then potentially open himself up to being outscored by a big scoring play through the E of Hefe. All right, let me just cut back to this. We saw Zoom be played, and then Hefe, and then a Q rack with not a ton available. I guess Kanat does still play here too, if you want to do that. That's not insane to do that instead. The reason you would do that over Caddy is that you, rather than keeping 2 A's, you only keep 1. You never want to keep duplicates if you can avoid it. That could be a reasonable way to avoid keeping 2 A's here. So that is certainly a possibility as well. But certainly from Dean's perspective, I think now is the time to use that Q. The other benefit of Caddy is that it blocks this lane pretty well. If you're worried about, so from Dean's perspective, he just has to stay a little bit ahead of Aditya from here on out. And he needs to, from Dean's perspective, he also is going to win a lot of the games where neither player bingos from here on out in the game. So for that reason, it's possible that playing Caddy here is the right idea because it will prevent plays from going down here as bingos. The more bingos you can prevent, the better. And he does end up taking that approach. He plays Caddy for a couple more points and blocking that lane. I think as the chat is also sort of sussing it out, and I think I like that idea as well. But there are going to be plays now for Aditya through this A that score quite well. He can play 11 here for 39 points, which that will put him in the lead narrowly, leaving HO left behind. And most importantly, it would use 5 tiles, and the game really, and there it is, we see that go down. Using 5 tiles here is especially nice because you really want to get that second blank. You really, that's a huge tile here, easily the most important tile left. I should also note that another set of important tiles are the K and W because of this spot right here. Any play going down in this area with the K and W, which Dean does not have. So Dean is now down by 5. And the scary thing about this is it doesn't look like he's going to be able to score very well. And Aditya just played 5 tiles. He could have drawn the K, he could have drawn the W, and he could have drawn the blank. So Dean is now in a bit of trouble. There are a lot of things that can go wrong for him here. I know that after his next turn, he's going to be up by some decent margin, but there are many ways that Aditya can narrow that gap. He can draw the second blank and bingo with Spool, or he can hit a huge scoring play that's very likely to outscore anything that Dean has here. Like what is Dean even supposed to do? Rag and Yuga for 20 points? That's not enough. That's going to get outscored badly by a good play here. So let's see if we can come up with any ideas for Dean for how to get out of this jam. What can he do? It's not really clear to me that there's a standout play that scores a bunch of points. Keeping innate always works. Innate is a okay leave. It's not particularly good here. It pairs decently, I guess, with the G down low, but I don't know. It's going to be tough. Oh, you clever guy. Look at that. Clever Dean Saldana. You clever guy. That's a great play. That is just wonderful. There are so many good things about it. First thing that's good about it, it blocks Spool. Next good thing, he keeps the last A. There's no U's and there's only one A. So this spot is incredibly lucrative for Dean and offers very little for Aditya. So Aditya has drawn the second blank, in fact. Basically, he does not, I wonder from his perspective if he needs to think hard about burning it here. This is very intriguing. Is there a good play, or I guess he can just play something. If he just plays something not burning the blank in this spot, maybe that's an effective enough block. Or he can just play through here. So maybe not burning. I don't think he has to burn it. But that at least complicates the game greatly from Aditya's perspective. He can't just plop his W down here like he probably would have before. After a play like Rag, right? Had Dean just played Rag, I'm quite sure that you would just see Aditya play Whoa and go for something really big, hitting Spool with a nice leave. Now he's got to think a bit. I don't know. I mean, I would be sorely tempted to burn my blank here. I really would. But the problem with it is just that, again, if you burn it and get hit with a big K play, I don't know. That doesn't work out great for you. Whew. Tricky. Tricky. Anybody have any good ideas for plays that, what about just something like Want? Do we like this play? Don't think it hooks very much. It greatly limits the damage from the AG hooking plays. I think I might not mind this. Aditya has sort of the only downside of Gaze. Wow. Okay, I'm surprised by that. He plays Whoa. He doesn't do anything to address the spot. Tangoed is not playable. I wonder what to do here. Yeah, okay. Want is, it just popped up as the championship player choice there, but Whoa is obviously right behind. Aditya is still in very good shape here, holding that blank. But Dean can now play around with that spot, right? He can try to fish for stuff that plays there. He can also go for a big score there if he wants to play like Donga or something, going for the blank. It's not clear to me that Aditya's play of Whoa signals anything. It's just a play that you would make when you have a W and want to score points. So from Dean's perspective, with 7 tiles in the bag, he may say, all right, I'm going to play Donga and I'm going to go for that blank myself and hope that I get something flexible enough to bingo here or potentially here. Maybe every now and then something to the R of Ryer. Tricky move. Dean is down by exactly 20, so by playing something like Donga, he goes up by 16 and leaves 2 in the bag. That's not bad timing. I think that's probably okay. Oh yes, also the T, good point. You can definitely hit some stuff to this T of Meiotic. It's not impossible. Something ending in NT in particular. You can infer a bingoey leave after Whoa. Maybe that's true. Yeah, because you still score pretty well with plays with a lot of stuff in this spot. Like you could play Watt or 1 in this spot a lot of the time with all of those N's unseen, right? So unseen to Dean right now is NNNTT. And all right, so he does play Donga. That's the play that we thought he would do. And Aditya has, wow, he's got some crazy stuff. Actually has some 9s here, which I won't reveal yet, but I don't think he necessarily needs them. He's in a very, very strong position either way. I will not say the 9s yet. I'll let people have a look. Pretty amazing finds if they are found. Okay, there's one that's been spotted in the chat of Enlighten. That would be a really amazing play to EN, and I'm pretty sure that's going to win pretty much every time. I can't imagine how Dean can do anything after Enlighten to the EN. That is quite amazing. There's one other bingo available here that's quite insane and is probably not the best play. I think you can still lose to a few plays after that. Like, oh yeah, you definitely can lose to Kittened and stuff after the other bingo, which I will reveal now. to fill in to the LI. Plays right here. So if that is played, Aditya would lose to Kittened a fair amount of the time. I guess roughly 9% of the time through the E. If Dean has DEIKNTT. So things are looking very good here for Aditya. Even if he were to just fish an H somewhere, he's going to bingo a lot of the time. And I don't think Dean can bingo on this board anywhere. How about a cat cam? Cat cams. Here's for those that like cat cam from my normal stream. The benefit is you get to watch these streams and save up your channel points and then dump them on my regular streams on cat cam. But no cat cams. No cat cams on the stream today. Apparently cat cam traumatic for some of us. Thank you very much for the cat emote spam. Appreciate that. They appreciate it as well. So yeah, Aditya is thinking hard. I think he's probably looking at this pool and saying, I think I should mostly be okay. I guess the scary thing though for him is if he fishes his H and Dean plays something sufficiently scory and blocky in this spot, and he doesn't have a bingo available, that creates endgames that are definitely losable. So this is tricky. Making things incredibly easy would be to see the crazy 9. Watching French Scrabble last night, it's Duplicate, I think. They played Duplicate, which is a really cool kind of luck evening format of Scrabble, I think, where you're just, everybody's playing the same position. Yeah, not all French Scrabble is Duplicate. I think they also have events that are like Classique, which is how we play. But yeah, it is a very cool alternate variation on how we play, I think. I agree. Let's see. Aditya is very likely to come in with his play soon, but let's just have a look at some of the other games really quickly and just see. Let me just. Akshay is done with his game, and he's defeated Tony. So big win for India to start there. I will get that in the system. Data entry is what I love to do. Okay, so 1 win so far for India, and I guess I can update that in the match score as well because that makes it more dramatic to be 8-8. So 8-8 with 1 of the 5 games in round 4 completed. And this game is still hanging in the balance. I think Aditya is in pretty good shape. He's thinking hard. It's maybe fishing the H is not what... Maybe he needs to just play as many tiles as he can and try to go out. I wonder, where's a way to do that? This is a tricky situation, actually. Yeah, he definitely is binging right now. He's taking a good long think. And he had a lot of time to think it over, right? He's been thinking for several minutes. I'm not sure how long. I think he had at least 4 or 5 minutes on his clock going into this turn. He does typically play with very good pace, and we've seen a number of times Aditya has a lot of time going into the pre-end game, and he thinks very hard and comes up with a pretty good play. He's done that a number of times. He had 1 win early on, one of the earlier pool play matches where he made a great play in the pre-end game to give himself a chance and ended up winning a game because of it. Next emote should be the right and left eyebrows. I don't have enough emote slots. Basically, right now, to get more emote slots, I need to become a Twitch partner, which means I need to average oh my God! There it is. There it is. So after a long think, Aditya has spotted his 9 of Enlighten, which is absolutely a crusher for Dean. That is, yeah, heist. That's a really good suggestion. That looks like it would have outrun almost everything. But there it goes. Very, very nicely done by Aditya to find his play that wins 100% of the time in this situation. And he has Dak as an outplay being suggested of right here. I'm sure he's up by enough points that it does not matter. Ked, a couple other spots. So Aditya has won this game for sure. I don't think there was even anything that Dean was hoping for with his rack. So let's pop back over to Evan versus Sherwin now. Let me just get the screens ready, flip the flags again, and give India credit for another win in the standings. So that was an amazingly nice play by Aditya to finish off that game and give India another win. So that's pretty huge. So with that win for India, they're going to take a small lead. But Evan is up in this game here narrowly. You can see Sherwin with uploads on his rack. Doesn't look to be playable, I don't think. And wow, both blanks unseen in this game between Evan Borofsky and Sherwin Rodriguez. So there is a lot yet to be decided here. This game is far from over. Evan with a lead, but Sherwin is on turn, and he's going to narrow that lead and potentially draw blanks. I don't know if Evan has them. We did see uploads. Yes, that's a great point. We saw uploads be played by Evan Borofsky last week, in fact, as a huge overlap. I think with like 6 overlaps, he played uploads in a losing effort, if I recall correctly. So getting word we see from Vinyl Chances, Evans, our erstwhile organizer, and that cool beat Jesse just now. So another win for India. So India is in striking distance of really taking command here going into the last round. So let me see. Oh, of course, we can get some Woogles promotion from 14 Domino. That is totally welcome here. Amazing new platform for Scrabble in development right now by some of the best players in Scrabble. And it's looking awesome. I will just give it a quick plug right now that its Kickstarter exceeded its $15,000 goal within 24 hours. I hesitate to promote it too heavily right now as we're playing on ISC, which has been nothing but friendly and nice to me, but I'm hoping that the two sites can at least coexist for a little while. But I'm very, very excited about Woogles as well. So yeah, okay, what should Sherwin do here with this rack? I don't know. So then getting rid of his U, or just using as many tiles as he can and scoring. I don't know. I'm sure there are ways to do it. It's actually tough to find plays that score a ton here. It's scary. From Sherwin's perspective, it's a little bit scary to spend a lot of tiles opening up the board because, from his perspective, there's both blanks are unseen. So he has to do his best to score as well as he can without opening something that will just end the game for him. And he ultimately plays DOP, which looks like a decent way of doing that. It keeps his U, that's the only drawback, but at the very least, it scores decently and doesn't open anything crazy up to Evan. And in fact, Evan does not have either blank. He has sort of in-between tiles here that I'm not sure what he's going to do with. Upsold, where was that available? Oh, upsold, right here with Aimless. That looks great. That would score a lot of points. It does open a triple lane, but that's okay. You can live with that for that many points. When you're losing, you need those points. That's a good suggestion for sure. Now, though, from Evan's perspective, this F looks like it scores best here, but it's very scary to open this without S blank blank. S blank blank are unseen to Evan here. You see that on the bottom of the screen. So by playing anything with your F in this spot, it's potentially opening you up to bad news. But, you know, you may be in a situation from Evan's perspective, even though you're winning the game, you may actually be somewhat of an underdog given the fact that both blanks are unseen to you. So, yeah, this is a tight game. So we're getting the results as they're happening. There are 2 games still in progress. I guess that means I'm 1 game behind. What game do I not have entered in here into the matchup coverage? Oh, another win for India. So it's actually now 8-10 with 2 games still underway. So this game here between Evan Borowski and Sherwin is very much in the balance, and Canada may badly need it. The other game, I'm not sure, between Jeremy and Udayan Grover just finished, and Jeremy wins. So a huge win now for Jeremy Hildebrand for Team Canada. And that is really helpful because if Evan is able to somehow pull this game out, it will remain a 10-10 tie going into the final round. So Evan having a good think here. This is a tricky move because, as I said, he's winning the game, but he may actually be, at best, a coin flip to win 50% or something like that because of the scariness in the unseen pool, none of which he has. A suggestion of potentially drift in this spot, that could be all right. You're just trying to, if you're Evan and you're playing something like drift, the reason that you're doing that is simply to maintain, fared. Very nice. Oh my gosh, and look at that. Sherwin has not drawn either. He's not drawn either blank, so he can play Toriulas now. He can play Toriulas, and he does. And now Evan is in a situation where he has a blank. I've said it before. He's very good with blanks and finding all of his possibilities with blanks. But the board after Toriulas is so closed that, and you can see Sherwin's drawn EN blank out of the bag. So basically, if Evan is not able to figure out a bingo that fits, this game is going to go in Sherwin's direction. He's going to be able to use EN blank for some kind of a decent score here. Wow. So let's see. He has to, I assume he's going to try to find some kind of big overlapping play here. There's not enough time for him to really iterate out all the possibilities. I know that Evan is really fast at iterating with blanks, but I don't think there's going to be a bingo here. I think he's going to have to come up with a non-bingo that scores a ton of points here. And I don't know if there is one. Is there something with like A, I, Y? Ugh. Arity. Something like that. Ooh. Nality, malady, marity, something with a Y. Airily. I just don't know. There. It looks like there should be something there. Ooh, Evan taking a time penalty. So taking that time penalty is, yeah, so a suggestion of potentially Allery in that spot for 50. That would have been a lot. But now with so Evan just going overtime, that probably is going to do it for him, unfortunately. I think he probably needed those extra 10 points after a high-scoring play like Allery in that spot, which maybe had a chance with the extra 10, right? So if he plays this for 50 right now, it's very easy for Sherwin to win. Actually, I think even with the extra 10, I think this play is going to lose. I think I think he needs a few extra points here. He needs an extra letter. And he eventually just plays Yar. So that's going to be another win for India. That is huge for them. So, all right, let me just go back. We'll watch and we do see Snee go down. All right, let's go to the matchup coverage and let's get the round 5 streaming poll up as we get everything squared away with the standings now. Here it is, folks. This is the decisive round. It's looking like India is firmly in command here, but Canada has had heroic comebacks before. So I believe it's going to be 9-11. Is that true? Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 11. 3, 5, 8, 9. Okay, pretty strong preference for the top game between the number 1 seeds, Akshay and Evan. Can't say I'm surprised. Can't say I dispute that as a good idea. All right, so here are the updated standings. So it is currently Canada 9, India 11 going into the final round. And once again, the magic number is 13. So India needing only 2 wins in this final round. Canada is going to have to get at least 4. All right, let's just cut back to this screen. Hold on a second. We'll do the cool graphic, of course. That's why it exists, is to be super cool like that. So we're into round 5. Let me see what else I have to adjust. I think we're basically ready. I'll put the poll back up while we do that. I do think it's totally reasonable to... Oh, Madeley. Madeley, yeah. I was just trying to put together what word might be there. But I guess Madeley was the play. I think that's Collins only, too, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so I think Evan versus Akshay very rightfully winning the poll pretty handily. But obviously, as we always do in the final round, we'll be cutting from game to game often to see what's going on with each game. We have to keep on top of every game. Yes, I do need to update the bot with pronunciation and the octothorpes for those that like that. So no octothorpes needed for the Collins zealots out there. I guess that's true, but I like having it. I like keeping them straight, so I should update the bot. So, all right, one of the only Aditya and Tony have started, but we are going to wait for Akshay and Evan to get started. Evan probably has to catch his breath a minute after that game. That was a tough one for sure. So, yeah, let me just see if we go into the history and we save. Let me just cut back to this so that I can get the, oops, excuse me, back to our coverage screen. I really do want to look at that end game because it was so close. And here it is. All right, so we'll go back to this screen and we'll get the Quackles up here so we can have a look at this, because this was actually crazy, this end game. The players have not started yet, so we have a minute to look at this game. So let me just make it nice and big. So you can see in this end game, Evan, we're being told, has 1 win, and it's Madeley right there for 55. So after Madeley is played, Snee, which was the best play available for Sherwin, comes up just short. Wow, that is very tight. Obviously, Evan took a ton of time on some of his previous turns because they were so close. And that is totally natural, but you just know that with a few more minutes to look, Evan would have found that word. So that's just how it goes with these 15-minute games. 15 minutes can feel like a lot, but actually when you get into a really difficult series of positions, that time just evaporates. So that is a huge swing there. as we will get ready for Evan versus Akshay. I see that Evan is not on ISC right now. I'm sure he's just taking a quick break after that game to collect himself, because that was a tough one. That was really tough. Really can't say I'm having to find a play like that with less than a minute with a blank on your rack is brutally difficult. So that's just Scrabble. All right. Evan logs back on. Most of the games have started. We are in our pivotal round 5. India with the advantage. Coming up in round 5 here, India needing to win just 2 games to reach the magic number of 13. Request to look at Aditya until Akshay comes back. Happy to do that. Let's do it. I'm sure that Evan and Akshay are about to start. So looks like Aditya off to a really fast start in this game. This is maybe going to require Mesquite level heroics from Tony Leah to get back in this game, because that is a big lead for India right off the bat in this first game. We can see if any of the other games are off to big starts. This is a game between Nakul Prabhu and Dean Saldana. That looks pretty close. Hard to say. Quickly looking here, this game way too early between Jesse Matthews and Udayan Grover. Akshay and Evan have started. Don't want to miss too much action, but before we do, just a quick look at Jeremy Hildebrand, which obviously this game is way too close to call. All right, let's go to our feature game. Akshay versus Evan. Evan coming off of a tough loss. He has to shake it off, and Canada needs to win 4 matches in round 5 to punch their ticket to the finals. India only needing 2 wins to get to the finals. Really exciting game so far. Akshay opening with FEU, few. That looked like a good balancing play with his first rack. And Evan with not quite as good of a rack, with a bunch of vowels and 2 unhelpful consonants for bingoing. Woof, it's been exciting, folks. So again, just really quickly, here's what we're playing for, right? The bracket. Either India or Canada is going to make it to that first finalist spot and take on the winner of Pakistan versus USA, which will be decided tomorrow. India defeating Australia in absolutely thrilling fashion to make it into the semifinals, and Canada defeating Ireland in perhaps the most thrilling matchup of the tournament so far last week. Really amazing comeback in the final round. Heartbreaking for Ireland, of course. But India and Canada vying for that first finalist spot. So back we go. Still waiting for Evan's rejoinder to FEU to start. I guess, foughted or feud being suggested as ideas on that opening rack. That looks maybe a little better. Yeah, that seems like a bunch more points. I don't think the leave there is so good that you would give up the points there. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do here. This is, again, one of those plays where even the best play is not going to be very inspiring. I suppose you could keep a consonant if you played something like Kaye. Yippee-ki-yay is not what Evan will be saying after playing this, because you don't like keeping OBE, but sure enough, he does play that, which I think is a very reasonable play. And unthread, at the very least, unless there's something better, is very likely to come down here for Akshay to start out on the right foot. Oh, let me get that off the board. No, family stream. It's a family stream. Unthread does go down, which is the only bingo available here. Yes, yippee-ki-yay, mofo. That's the worst that I will go. That's the most I will go. All right. Evan has object G on his rack. Is there anything good with a with those letters? I don't know. Um, object G. Oh, abject. Looks very nice. So object G, he can play abject right here for 46, and I think abject is good in Collins, isn't it? Yeah. So abject. We all know as an adjective, as in this game is an abject disaster for neither player. But yeah, the Aditya and Tony game is an abject disaster for Tony right now. Getting word that Aditya leading by 2-14. Oh no, and this game is going to go the wrong direction for Canada as well. Assuming Akshay knows abjects, he's going to play Ranters, probably a little bit better than Errants. And now, oh, but Evan has drawn the second blank. This is not a great rack for the blank, but if there is a bingo available here, I fully expect Evan to find it. I've said it a number of times, and I know it from personal experience. I'm trying very, very hard over the last, couple of years to get better at finding blanks really quickly, finding blank bingos, I should say. And Evan is the best there is at that, for sure. If he doesn't have a bingo, just saying like Gaudy is going to be plenty. In fact, Gaudy is going to be better than almost every bingo here. It's going to require a very heavy scoring bingo to be even better than a play like Gaudy. So Evan may basically, given that, he's probably just checking like what are the spots where a bingo that plays with this rack would be better than Gaudy. Probably through the H as a double-double, potentially to the D of the triple lane. And if he can't find those, which there aren't any, he's going to play Gaudy for 45, leaving O blank. So I think that's the 1-2 punch that Evan needs to get back in this game. He's down by 101 points right now, but he's going to score a lot on his next turn. And sure enough, Akshay has a weird-looking rack. He's going to be able to score decently with his Z at the very least. But if he does that, he's going to keep his Q behind, which could get him into trouble. So if we see a play like Zeta here for 46 points, which we easily could, and there it goes down quickly. Oh man, but Evan, to his leave of O blank, he's drawn EFIIO, which is absolutely not what he wants to see. He really needed to get a bingo down right there. So not the rack that Evan wants to see here. He's going to have to take a small score to balance, and that potentially gives Akshay a chance to dump his Q on his next turn. The really easy spot would be through this U of Gaudy. Or he could get help for it with a U and do even better than that. So Evan was really hoping for the 1-2 punch of Gaudy and getting a bingo down immediately. So Akwai setting up the Z. Oh, yeah. That would have been really cool to play Akwai right here. Holy crap. That could have been huge. Yes. In this spot. Great suggestion, because the A in this spot and the E in this spot would both accept huge scoring plays, potentially with the Z of well over 100 points. Very nice. Instead, Akshay does, so Evan does play footy. That looks like a reasonable play. And he should be, oh man, driveway doesn't quite fit through that E of footy. I wonder what he might have here. So Quena goes down for Akshay to dump the Q. Evan is in desperate need of a bingo soon, and he's just not quite drawing well enough. I don't know if he has anything available. Oh my God, he has one thing available. I'll wait for it to be mentioned. There is a bingo available here. If people have spotted it, feel free to point it out. I don't want to spoil it just yet. I think Evan, yep, there it is. Magrathia Zafad, hello. My teammate, my USA teammate, points out Riverway through the R, and sure enough, I would always expect Evan to find it. Riverway, the only bingo. Let me just cut to this. This is a game between Evan and Akshay. Evan going second. So you see Evans narrowed the gap a lot. Riverway. Ooh, why is my Quackle not showing up? All right, well, I wonder. Might have to reload it or something. Oh, I somehow minimized it. Okay. No, I don't know why. My Quackle is not working anymore. Maybe if I reboot it, but I'm already sort of into the game. So unfortunately, no Quackle plays, but I can just drag it onto the screen. You see Riverway, the only bingo there. Okay, over to Akshay, whose lead just evaporated a little bit, but he still is in decently firm control of the game. He has an S, which he likes to see. The S is good here because we've got multiple spots for it to go. Sorry, the Riverway spot should at least be added to that. So it's very, very difficult to block all of those spots. I guess it's not impossible. But he opts to play Gobi for 19. That does block Riverways, but it leaves Footies and Fuse, and he left SEI left over. So that's pretty good. And Evan with not nearly as good of a rack, and it's not likely to have a great place to do much with it. I guess he can do something like Toe for 23, leaving Port. That doesn't look great. Is there nothing? I wonder. Let's see what he can do here. So obviously the situation here, grim for Canada. They need to win 4 games in the final round to sneak ahead of India. India needs only 2, and we already have word that Aditya Iyengar is well ahead of Tony Leah in one of their games. So that basically gives Canada no margin for error in their other games, and we have seen this exact situation play out a number of times, including for Canada, where there is no margin for error, and yet they somehow sneak ahead with wins in all of the remaining games. So let's just get a quick update as we wait for Evan to make this play on some of the other games in progress. So Aditya Iyengar, you see, well ahead of Tony in this game. That's bad news. We know that Evan is in trouble in his game, but he still has plenty of time to come back. Jeremy Hildebrand, well ahead of Sherwin in his game. Now on to Jesse Matthews, who is well ahead in his game as well. So Canada getting some hope from Jeremy and Jesse in their games. And how about Dean Saldana, also up by a lot in his game. So the early returns for Canada are pretty good in the other 3 games. So India is way ahead in the battle of the 5 seeds, but Canada holds leads in the 2, 3, and 4 seeds, which really makes this game between the number 1 seeds very pivotal. This could be it. This could be the game that Canada must have, with Canada having leads in 3 of the other games. So this is a tricky situation. Porky being suggested to the KY. That scores pretty well. The only problem with it is that it keeps the W left over, which you don't love. Evan opts to play Toe instead and designee, however you would say that, goes down for Akshay. So that is a huge swing. And Evan challenges it, which I'm surprised about. I'm surprised that Evan challenged just to get an extra look at it, I guess. But it is valid. I guess Evan may have been in a situation where he probably correctly realizes that was pretty devastating to his win chances. So he just needs to, rage challenge it. And I've done that before many times. That hurts to see that go down. It's not that Evan had a play in that area that was particularly good. I don't think he had anything that he was desperately hoping would stay open in that spot. It's so disappointing in Evan's shoes when that sort of thing happens. But from Akshay's perspective, that is a huge swing for him that gives him almost a 100-point lead, 90 or so points here. And that is going to be tough for Evan to overcome. Both blanks have been played. There are 3 S's still to come. And it's possible that Evan is going to need... So he plays export. That looks like a good idea, to use as many tiles as he can to get one of those S's, and he leaves GM on his rack afterwards. So Akshay now is in a position where he's up by a solid amount, but not enough where he can rest. He has to come up with a very defensive play here, and I think he should be able to do that. There should be plays. He can play something like Pavid or Vapid if he prefers right here that are very, very defensive and block. So from Akshay's perspective, what are the things that can happen that are bad? This is easily the scariest spot to him for bingos to go down. There's also overlaps in this area that can be played. So he can really go a long way to blocking both of those areas by playing either Vapid or Pavid. The benefit of playing Vapid is that it doesn't allow further plays that open the board that parallel because of the V. The V blocks those plays. So he may opt to take fewer points. Okay. Oh my God, Rimpling. That's amazing. Holy crap. We're seeing it again, folks. This could be the swing that turns it for Canada. What if we see Rimpling go down and then Evan draws something good, right? If Evan draws something good after that. So Rimpling's not going to be enough by itself. Ooh, Cahoots. So Cahoots is on Akshay's rack, but it doesn't look like it plays anywhere. This is amazing. So if Evan somehow draws something else after this, that's good. First of all, we got to see if Rimpling... Define Rimplings, right? Okay, it's not a word. So there's definitely a scary, is Rimplings a word that both players are going to have to think about? I'm pretty sure both players will correctly decide that Rimplings is not a word. So Evan plays Rimpling and makes this game really close, right? This game is definitely still, I think Akshay is a favorite to win, but it is much closer than it was before. Evan can get lucky. There's definitely stuff that he can draw available. So I just am very eager to see what Akshay is going to do. So obviously now Akshay's position has gone from pretty strong to much dicier. He's going to have to be very careful. A mistake here could be fatal. So what does he have to worry about? Obviously, he's got to worry about bingos in this spot, right? There's definitely things that Evan can have that play here. Not a ton, but enough. I'm just trying to see, like, Molines or something, like, right? He can easily have something like Molines in this spot right here. So blocking that spot with something like Kahoot could be warranted. Maybe that's the way to go and just empty the bag now rather than allow Evan to fish again. I don't think there's a ton of stuff that's going to play through this eye of Rimpling. That's the other scary thing. So Kahoot in this spot is going to block the easy sevens lane, and basically you only lose to crazy bingos through the eye of Rimpling. Wow, amazing. That is a huge swing. Definitely requires Akshay. He's got 8 minutes to think this over, and this game could be absolutely pivotal. With Canada potentially winning all 3 of the matchups between the number 2, 3, and 4 seeds, and almost certainly going to lose the game between the 5 seeds, right? Tony is going to lose to Aditya. He's down by 200. But Canada may take the other 3, which means that this is the decisive match right here. And it looks like easily the closest, although we do have to do a quick check on those other games. Evan's reporting that Aditya and Jeremy have won, making the score officially 12-10 in favor of India. I will update that now. There we go. So Hoax is played, and oh man, that's interesting because it does put an H out in space. I wonder if Evan has something that he can fish now. I mean, with 3 L's, an O, and an SSU, that doesn't look, yeah, holos. Yeah, this looks like Evan has just not drawn well enough here. With 2 tiles in the bag, I'm not 100% sure where he can even play. That gives him chances. That's tough. Lowless. Yeah. Oh man. So after Rimpling, there were definitely things that Evan could have drawn that would have given him more of a chance here. There's absolutely ways, like if he had drawn correctly, if you just fish a tile here and you hit bingos in 2 spots that can't really both be well, you could play through the eye of Rimpling. Yeah, 2 tile fish is gonna be, it's not gonna work out. Oh man. We'll still keep watching. Obviously, there's crazy stuff that could occur. But things looking very grim for Evan in this game. And all it's taking right now with India on the precipice, they have 12 wins in the bank. They need only one more to become the first finalist at the Virtual World Cup. This game could be the game that puts them over the edge into the finals. Gee. Any chance of outscoring? I guess that could potentially be possible. Maybe he'll try to, I mean, would the idea be to try a play with Rimplings and hope that Akshay doesn't challenge it and then surprise him? I don't know. That's going to be tough. SOS, yeah, SOS, a play that has been made ironically by Nigel Richards before. That was pretty funny. I think Pecorn was the one that was just crushing Nigel, and he played SOS for 3 points or something because spread was irrelevant. I believe it was a finals game where Pecorn won by like 400 points or something, and Nigel played SOS. Yeah, this is grim. This is grim for Evan for sure. I'm just trying to figure out what could he possibly do to give himself a chance. And again, there are just certain situations where it is not possible. Raid Benji, I'd be happy to do that. Of course, after this is over. Would love for Benji to get a huge influx. Obviously, I will also be streaming again. I gotta go eat, and then I'll be back. Not on this channel, on the Mind Sports channel. But let's just watch this play out before we worry about any of that. All right, Evan is thinking. He's thinking hard. He's thinking long and hard. I wonder if we have time for just a quick check of the other games really quickly, really fast. Let's do that. Jesse is up huge in his game. Jeremy, we already know, won his game. And Dean Saldana up in his game. So it really does look like this game between Evan and Akshay is the key. Evan plays off just an L. I wonder what he's thinking. I wonder what he's thinking there. So Rimpling, Hoax, and just an L. What could he have in mind that he's thinking about? He might be fishing for something that isn't available. So Akshay has to be careful. Oh, maybe he's going for the T for Ultisols. That's great. So if Evan's playing EL right there, he may be going for the T so that he can play Ultisols right here, which is a great idea. That looks like an excellent play that gives himself a chance. Obviously, the T is on Akshay's rack. Let's cut back to this score. Yes, I see Giaco666 thinks that, I believe that is Jeremy Hildebrand, who has, I believe, performed very well today. But this is, unfortunately for Canada, Canada has to have this game to preserve their chance. They're very likely to win the other 3. And this one is looking like Evan just gave himself a great chance to win with a T draw that potentially Akshay would not block. But he had the T, and there really isn't anything available, I don't think. Mullions wasn't available to draw. So Evan left LLOSSU. Are we missing anything that he could potentially have drawn? I don't think so. I would think at least one of us would have seen that, either me or the many, many people watching, which obviously thank you all for watching. Yeah, mollusks. Yeah, maybe Akshay will play Skug, right? So if he plays Skug, then maybe Evan can win. But I'm pretty sure that Akshay will just play something. He's just looking at the pool. I wonder if there even is any threat available. He may just not have to worry about it at all. If he's not sure, he can just play something like, I don't know, OE or IO, something like that. If he thinks there's anything through the L. Through the H, rather. Through the H of Hoax. When does USA Pakistan happen? It happens tomorrow at the same time that this stream went live, which is 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. GMT. Yep, you guys are all correct. And that is, it looks like, yeah, Akshay confidently saying, I don't see anything for you. I'm not even going to try to block. That is the play of a very, very confident expert player. Akshay, the winner of Westpac in 2017, very strong player. And he has that confidence just to look at the pool for a while, and he has the word knowledge to know that Evan did not have anything available through the H of Hoax or the I of Rimpling. Wowzers, folks. So it didn't take great courage for me to predict a final score of 13-12, but I will go on record as saying, well, I mean, I was on record. You can look earlier in the stream once this goes up that my prediction, I was asked for my prediction, and all I said is that I predicted a 13-12 final score, and that is what's going to happen here. Evan plays lures. Suggestion that Evan should phony. Yeah, I mean, I guess he should. Holson's something. Yeah. And sure enough, Akshay comes out on top in this game. So that's going to render the other games moot. As we go back to the matchup coverage, you can see it was 10-12. And the win for India in that game and the win for India in the Tony and Aditya game are the two wins that India needed. So I see that Jeremy beat Sherwin. Jesse is still playing. Dean Saldana, oops, he just finished his game. He did defeat Nakul Prabhu. And Jesse versus Udayan Grover is just finishing up. And this definitely Jesse in firm command of that game, as we're seeing. So you can see the final score of today's matchup, today's semifinal matchup between Canada and India. A heartbreaker for Canada, a great win for India as they move forward into the finals. What did I do with my score? Please look correct. There we go. So India will be our first finalist in the bracket. I actually don't have that ready, but hold on. I can make it ready. Second round. Copy, paste. There we go. India moving on as the first finalist, defeating Canada 13-12 in this really, really exciting matchup. So as we go back to the matchup coverage, you can see how it all played out. India winning 3-2 in the first round. Canada returning fire with 2 3-2 wins in rounds 2 and 3. And then India taking command with 4-1 in round 4, which necessitated that Canada win 4 games in round 5. And they almost got there, but just not quite enough in those last 2 games India, congratulations. Excellent effort. As we see, just cutting back to the final game of Jesse Matthews versus Udayan Grover. Let me see. There we go. So once this game wraps up, we'll call it a broadcast, and we have decided our first finalist, and that is Team India. Canada, just an excellent effort in this tournament. They've won all 4 of their matches heading into today, including a couple by actually 3 of Canada's matches. They won 13-12. But at last, they come out on the losing end of a 13-12 score. Their first loss, it comes in the semifinals. Excellent job to Canada getting this far. But congratulations to Team India. Awesome job by them all tournament so far. Only one setback so far for India, and it came in an unbelievable fashion to the UK. So India has proven themselves an extremely worthy team so far. And it's been a lot of fun. So thank you so much to everybody for watching along with this great event. Just a quick look back at the bracket. Tomorrow at the same time that this stream went live, tune in to Coco Scrabble on Twitch, and you're going to see Pakistan versus USA to determine who India's opponent will be in the Virtual World Cup Finals next week. All right, folks. Wow, that was really exciting. A number of amazing games that we saw. That's going to be it for us this morning. I hope you all enjoyed the stream. Congratulations to Team India and commiserations to Canada. That was a great match. So tune in tomorrow to find out who the other finalist is going to be. Thank you guys for watching, and catch everybody later. Bye-bye.